Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto joins Sirzechs Peerage Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Underworld, unknown location. A man with a handsome face and silver hair looked at the scene before him and smirked in excitement. The battle he saw was fantastic. It made the great war between the three factions nearly 200 years ago look like a battle between kids. These shinobi, kunoichi and samurais, their power was exceptional. He wished he could have them at his command. There would be an unstoppable army in the war he was going to start with all the factions. The black-haired boy caught his attention, as his powers were based on the name of the Eastern gods. Amaterasu, that flame was far greater than the strongest power of destruction of the Ball clan, a never-ending flame that could burn anything to nothing. Not to mention that the power of Susanoo was so great and powerful that it could even defeat the strongest dragon king, Tamnin. It's too bad that the boy had returned to the light, and chose to protect the world instead. What a shame. However, the person caught his attention the most was the blonde-haired boy. That boy, there was something about him that he couldn't understand. How could someone who lived in a village with so much hatred towards him since he was a small child could still care about those filthy humans? He should have killed off all those humans, or at the very least turned his back on them. The thing that amazed the silver-haired man the most was the boy's belief in his promises. He never broke a promise no matter what happened. Someone like him will be a fine addition to his army. Not to mention the power he housed. He had known about Yasaka, the leader of the Yukai faction and the strongest Kyuubi at the moment with the strength that could rival a dragon king. But the power of Kurama, the Kyuubi that is sealed inside the boy, could make Yasaka ran off with her tails between her legs. When the blonde-haired shinobi took the fox's power, this war became far more exciting for the silver-haired man. As if that wasn't enough, the blonde boy could also use senjutsu, a power that only Yukai in his dimension could use, yet they always turned crazy due to the power behind it being so overwhelming. Yet this human boy had somehow mastered senjutsu, and could completely control himself. Even the oldest of Yukai couldn't control all that natural energy like him without being turned into a psycho. That's it. If he could bring the boy to his world and make the boy be completely under his command, then he would win this war easily. Smirking, the silver-haired man decided to go to his library. If he remembered correctly, there was a spell that could enable transport through dimensions. A few days later. Rias-sama, please, you have to slow down. No way, Enku! A cheerful voice shouted out. A few citizens of the capital of the underworld poked their head out of the windows and saw a giant creature at a height of about 2 meters, a body resembling that of a horse or deer, with red scales instead of fur. His face resembled that of a red Asian dragon, and he was chasing after a cute girl, around 11 or 12 years old with crimson hair and green-blue eyes, who was cheering loudly while sliding through the streets with her roller skates. The citizens who were still on the street had to jump out of the way of the girl, while the creature apologized to them as he passed by. The citizens smiled at this scene that was a common sight now. Everybody heard that their leader had bought a pair of roller skates for his sister's birthday. The little girl, who was none other than the Princess Rias Gremry, the heiress of the Gremry clan and sister of Sirzechs Lucifer, one of the 4 leaders of the devil world. And the creature that was chasing after her was Enku, Rias's caretaker, and her brother's pawn. The girl continued cheering out loudly when she slid like a pro through the street of Lilith. Day after day of practice at home while being watched by Enku had annoyed Rias greatly, so here she was, she had found a way to run from her brother's pawn and had a little time for her own. She just wished that her best friend Akeno and little Kaneko were with her right now, but they were training at her brother's castle, and no matter how much she tried, her parents didn't let them play with her until nighttime. She understood that her parents just wanted them to be strong to protect her someday, but with an otaku like her, she always dreamed about a knight in shining armor would come to take her one day, just like how the main female character in the latest anime she got from her dad met the main male character. Rias slid to an alley and hid there. She waited until Enku passed through her, and went out, going straight to the opposite direction until she was finally free. Now she could do whatever she wanted, without Enku or her parents stopping her. But first, she had to hide her identity. Just one look and everybody would know that she was Rias Gremry. It's all because of her hair color, which was too unique and recognizable. So Rias pulled out from her pocket a ribbon she had borrowed from Akeno this morning and a cap to put on her head and hide her face. Being a princess and the next heir to a big family was a huge burden. Even though Rias was just 10 years old, she knew how important her responsibility was. But like any children her age, she wanted to have fun, to play with people her age. She always slept with Akeno at night, and the two talked about girl things. What she needed right now was a friend that played with her and could talk to her normally. Her friends at school always looked up to Rias as a princess, not as a friend like she always wanted. Deep in thought, Rias couldn't see that she was heading straight into a boy who was crossing the street. Before Rias understood what happened, her head had crashed into his stomach and knocked the two of them to the ground with her on top. Groaning out in pain from the impact, Rias lifted her head up and came face to face with the boy she was just crashed into. His eyes were telling her that he was in pain. Maybe she had crashed into him a little too hard. Can you get off me? Her cheeks reddened a little at the position she was in and quickly stood up. But her roller skates had a better idea. Rias fell right back into the body again, this time with her but right in his face. Sorry, I'm very sorry. She screamed out and stood up, with better balance this time. The boy slowly sat up and Rias had a good view of him. The boy, while looking no older than her, was slightly taller than Rias. His hair was blonde but was really bright, almost golden. His eyes were blue and his face had 3 faint whisker marks on each side of his cheeks, making his face even cuter. Unconsciously, Rias brought out her hand and touched his whisker. Hey! The boy jumped back a little. What do you think you're doing anyway? Oh, sorry! Rias smiled, embarrassed. Sorry for bumping into you. Don't worry about that, Seeing that the blonde hairy boy was trying to ask for her name, Rias quickly thought about a fake name to answer him. She couldn't let him know that she was Rias Gremory, or else Anka would find her. Akeno Himejima Akeno, Rias said quickly. Hopefully the black-haired girl didn't find out about Rias was using her name. Naruto Uzumaki. The boy, now named Naruto, smiled warmly at her. So Akeno-chan, what are you doing anyway? I hope you're not playing the crash into someone game. The redhead's cheeks turned red once again and looked down to the ground embarrassed. Sorry, Naruto-kun. Don't worry about it. Naruto looked at her roller skates and saw it was a very expensive one. So Akeno-chan, looks like you're from some rich family, eh? Seeing that Naruto was looking at her roller skates, Rias smiled a bit. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? My brother bought it just for me. Rias smiled and slid around him. This was one of her favorite presents from her brother after all. It was a pair of the roller skates that had magic in it, meaning that it would grow with her and fit her feet perfectly, no matter how big she became. It was crimson in color to match her hair, but decorated with a few bluish gemstones. The roller skates were really expensive, and no matter how she didn't want to be like a spoiled brat like that Razor, her fiancé, when she grew up, she still really wanted this roller skate when she saw it at the store. Her dream came true when her brother gave it to her at her latest birthday just a week ago. Having a family is very cool, isn't it? Naruto smiled sadly and began to walk away. Rias looked at Naruto and finally realized the clothes he was wearing it was really dirty and was torn everywhere. His body was really thin. He looked like he hadn't ate anything in a long time. A little sad, she realized the boy was an orphan. She quickly followed him. With her roller skate speed, it was really easy for her to catch up to him. Wait, Naruto-kun, how about you and I go to that shop over there and get something to eat? Rias asked and pointed her finger at the food store behind them. When she saw Naruto try to open his mouth to refuse her offer, she quickly pulled his hand straight to the store. Don't worry, I'll pay. Rias always has some money with her every time she goes out. It was the money that she saved up from what her parents gave to her each month. While eating at the food store, Rias and Naruto talked about a lot of things. However, the crimson-haired girl always tried to avoid talking about family because she didn't want Naruto to feel sad or left out. Rias talked about her studies and her rivalry with Sona. She also talked about her best friend Akeno, where she avoided saying her name, and the quiet girl Kaneko. This was the first time Rias felt so free and comfortable with anyone. Rias enjoyed being with Naruto as he was really kind and funny when she got to know him. When nighttime came, the time to say goodbye had come and Rias didn't want to leave Naruto. He made her happy and became her first friend that didn't look at her as a princess. Maybe it was because of the fake name she gave him, but Rias somehow felt he would still be the same even if she had given him her true name. Well, Akeno-chan, I guess we have to say goodbye now. Naruto said warmly. Thank you for the meal, Akeno-chan, you really saved me today. Naruto-kun, I don't want to leave you, she said sadly, but an idea suddenly popped into her head and she caught his wrist and pulled him with her. Let's go, Naruto-kun, I will bring you to my home and… She was interrupted by Naruto. No, Akeno-chan. Naruto took her hand and gently pulled out of her grip. A lady like you shouldn't be friends with me to begin with, so you don't have to worry about me. Really, Akeno-chan, I mean it. But… Alright, then how about we make a promise? Naruto said to her when he saw tears welling up in her eyes. If you have free time, you can come out and play with me again. I will wait for you. If you don't come tomorrow, I will still wait for you, then we can play with each other again. Promise? Rias wiped the tears out of her eyes and smiled. She brought out her pinky finger and smiled. Promise. Naruto nodded his head and hooked his own pinky finger with her. After saying goodbye to Naruto, Rias went straight to her home, and saying that her parents were angry was an understatement. They had scolded her about her disappearing and Anka looked like someone had just come back to life. They forbid her from doing that again, and Rias quickly nodded her head, but after her parents were out of sight, Rias smiled brightly and returned to her room with a big smile on her face while humming a soft tune. From that day onwards, Rias always found an excuse so that she could get out and play with Naruto. At first, her parents still scolded Rias about disappearing from Enka's sight, but after a week of seeing that their daughter was happier than normal, they brushed it off and let her do whatever she wanted, with the condition that she stays in Lilith. Rias had said that she wanted to stay with her brother longer, and it was summer vacation, so Rias didn't have school, so half of her time at the capital was spent playing with Naruto. Naruto, while he wasn't older than her, was still very mature for his age. She guessed it was because living in the street at the young age had made Naruto mature faster than normal. But still, he was just like her, a child, and did what a normal child always does, playing, laughing, crying, and asking a lot of questions. Rias and Naruto played every game they could in the park, and ate everything a normal child always wanted. Maybe she was still too young to know it, but she had already begun developing feelings for him. Era, you look very happy, Rias-sama. Akeno giggled behind her. While Rias was brushing her hair with a smile on her face, she and Akeno always slept with each other, and recently, the heiress of the Gremry family always wanted to go to bed early. She had planned a lot of fun games to play with Naruto tomorrow. It had been 2 months already, and Rias always went out in the morning and returned at lunch, then went out again. There was not a single day Rias stopped trying to make Naruto go to Gremry Castle and be a servant there, or even better, be one of her servants, a member of her peerage. However, no matter how much she tried, Naruto still refused her offer, but that was the only thing she felt sad about. Is it about your crush? Her queen smirked mischievously, making Rias blush brightly. Akeno always teased Rias about Naruto from the day she told her best friend about him, and how she met him, and the fact that she was using the queen's name. Akeno, it's not like that. Rias tried to defend herself, but with her best friend's personality, she knew that there was no way she could escape that easily. Well, Rias-sama, I can't wait to meet him someday. Imagine what would happen when he found out. Who are you? Akeno smiled again. And who I am? This time, she was met with a pillow being thrown straight to her face by a furious Rias. Stop teasing me, Akeno, and control yourself. Naruto-kun isn't a toy. While just 12 years old, Akeno was very attractive for someone her age. 12 years old, and her breasts were as big as a normal 15-year-old devil. She always felt a little jealousy about her queen, who could draw attention from everyone with just her looks and body alone. Yofufu, I haven't said anything about him being a toy. You added that part yourself, Rias-sama. Akeno giggled. But maybe you're right. I should take him for myself. Who knows, maybe he will come to the castle if I could make him fall in love with me. Instantly, a pillow smashed straight into her face, knocking her to the bed, and a furious Rias jumped onto her body and continued to hit her with the pillow in her hand. Not wanting to be left behind, Akeno took her own pillow and attacked Rias. The two girls continued to battle each other until they dropped onto the bed in exhaustion. Slowly, Rias began to take off her pajamas. Rias always slept naked when she was a little girl, and it became a bad habit, according to her mother. But then again, Rias couldn't sleep when her clothes were still on her body. When she was completely naked, Rias began to crawl onto the bed and pulled the blanket over her body with Akeno and slowly hugged her friend. Say, Akeno, tomorrow I am going to tell Naruto my true name. You will be there with me, won't you? So tomorrow, eh? Akeno looked at her king. Do you really want me there too, the real Akeno? Yeah, I want you to help me, and tomorrow, not matter what it takes, I will bring Naruto with me, and if he refuses again, I will use one of my pieces. Rias said seriously. She didn't want to leave Naruto because he has become someone important to her. So she will do whatever it took to bring him with her. Okay, Rias-sama, I promise I will help you. After all, I'm your queen, aren't I? Rias nodded her head at her queen. Tomorrow, Naruto-kun. Tomorrow, and you will be mine. The two girls quickly drifted into the land of dreams, with the red-haired girl dreaming about a certain blonde-haired boy. Midnight, Lucifer's castle. A lone figure was making his way through the corridors of the castle with a black katana in his hand. His movements were slow, moving without making a sound, and passed through the servants of the castle without being seen. He finally made his way to where his mission target was located. Slowly and carefully, he opened the room that led to her bedroom. His master gave him this mission, a mission he couldn't fail, no matter what happened, all for his master, the one had given him a purpose in life. When the door was opened, the figure quickly jumped onto the bed with his katana raised above his head, ready to finish his mission once and for all. Suddenly, a giant fireball was sent straight at him from a bright magic circle. Being caught off guard, he jumped out of the way to avoid the fireball, but his right sleeves had been burned slightly. Maybe this mission wasn't as easy as his master said. The light had been turned on, and the boy was face to face with one of the most powerful peerages in the world, with the leader being none other than Sirzechs Lucifer, one of the 4 great Satans, who was releasing his monstrous magical energy with a cold look in his eyes. Who are you? Sirzechs asked coldly. Enku had felt a massive magical energy made its way to the castle. The energy was so great that everyone thought one of the old Mao had come here. Sirzechs had called for all his peerage and ready for the battle, but he was shocked that the monstrous energy was coming from a child. Rias and Akeno had woken up and were shaking uncontrollably on the bed while looking at Sirzechs in fear. The boy slowly took off his burned jacket and laughed a little. He picked up his katana and turned around, ready to face the entire, with the most likely outcome being that he won't come out alive. Naruto Uzumaki, I'm here to kill the sister of Sirzechs, Lucifer. Hearing that name, Rias's and Akeno's eyes snapped wide open and looked up to see the boy. The heiress of Gremory couldn't believe her eyes anymore. The Naruto she had been playing with all these months was standing before her with a katana in his hand and was ready to kill her. If not for her brother interfered, she would be dead right now. But the Naruto standing before her wasn't the Naruto she knew. Gone was the warm smile and happiness whenever he met her. Now, standing before her was a killer with a predator's eyes, a smirk on his face, looking at a Naruto who was like this. Rias was too shocked and scared to do anything. Who told you to kill my sister? It looked like Naruto didn't saw Rias's face yet, because he was still looking directly at Sirzechs' eyes. Tell me and I will make your death faster and less painful. How generous, Lucifer-sama, Naruto said with his blade ready at his side. Sirzechs couldn't believe that this child was ready to fight him. He cursed whoever had used this child to do something like taking another child's life. But I won't say anything, all for my master. Naruto sighed and disappeared from their sight, only to reappear in front of Sirzechs and swing his blade at him. But Tsuji Okita, Sirzechs' knight, was faster than him and blocked the attack with his own katanas. But his eyes widened when the boy smirked. His blade began to crackle with electricity, and it slowly cuts through Tsuji's blades, making everyone's eyes widen in shock. Seeing his friend couldn't handle the boy alone, Beowulf jumped in and sends a powerful kick to the boy's stomach and sent him flying straight out of the window to the garden of the castle. The Peerage quickly brought out their wings and jumped out of the window, while Inku stayed to protect Rias. Sirzechs' eyes widened when he jumped out of the window. He felt the familiar feeling of senjutsu above him and turned around, only to come face to face with a massive swirling blue energy orb head straight to him and his Peerage. Bring out his hand to block the attack. He couldn't believe the force behind it, and was slowly being pushed down to the ground with his Peerage. Luckily for him, Bahamut had flown down to the boy and tried to bite him with his massive jaw, but the boy had jumped out of the way first with the orb disappeared, making everyone sigh in relief. But their eyes began to widen again when the boy appeared above Bahamut's head with his hand rose high into the sky. Lightning began to appear in the sky, and when Naruto brought his hand down, a massive bolt of lightning in the form of a Kirin hit straight into Bahamut's body with a massive boom. Bahamut's body crashed into the ground hard, sending dirt and earths flew everywhere. Before anyone could scream out his name, Naruto had appeared again before McGregor and sent a powerful punch into his stomach. The force was so strong that it created a powerful shockwave that broke every single window within their 20-foot radius. The Bishop of Sirzechs fell unconscious to the ground. Graia quickly cast a powerful ice spell, sending wave after wave of ice spear to Naruto, but the boy was too fast. Smirking, he brought his hand together in front of his face and breathed in deeply, and after a few seconds, he breathed out a powerful fire in the form of a phoenix, easily melting down the ice, and would have defeated Graia if not for Beowulf, Sitri and Tsuji blocking the fire with their bodies. Beowulf, Sitri, Tsuji! The strongest queen screamed out in horror, as tears slowly fell out of her eyes. Graia quickly created a soft blanket made from snow to support and cool off their fallen body. She followed them to the ground and began to use healing magic to heal them. Sirzechs couldn't believe what he just saw. A kid not older than Rias had taken out all of his Peerage without a scratch on his body. There was no way this boy was normal. No child should have this much power at this age. Anger was slowly building up inside Sirzechs. Bringing out his hand in front of him, Sirzechs created a massive ball of destruction and shot it at Naruto. The massive power connected with the boy's body, creating a powerful shockwave that made a minor earthquake in the underworld. Every single devil woke up from the earthquake, with some of them asking themselves what had just happened. Thinking that the assailant was taken care of, Sirzechs decided to go to the ground to check on his Peerage. Lucifer-sama, where do you think you're going? Turning his head in shock, Sirzechs saw some kind of ribcage covered with a purple flame had formed around Naruto, protecting him. He could see that his eyes had slightly changed, but Naruto was too far away to see clearly. This child, he was too strong, there was no way he could hold back now. He had to end this now, or else the boy may kill his beloved sister if he was given the chance. He and Naruto slowly landed on the ground. This time the ribcage had transformed into an upper body of a demon with horns on its head. The amount of magical power he was released was amazing. It made Sirzechs feel as if he was facing one of his fellow great satans. However, just as he was about to attack, small footsteps rang out behind him, making Sirzechs' eyes widen in horror when he felt his sister magical energy heading for them. Naruto Keiyuen! Rias screamed out with tears in her eyes while still running to him, with Akeno and Kaneko following behind her. Please stop it! Sirzechs tried to scream out to his sister, But no matter how he tried, Rias wouldn't stop running. Sirzechs' eyes widened at the revelation that his sister somehow knew this boy. Sirzechs saw Naruto's eyes widen in shock and the skeleton slowly disappeared, leaving a wide-eyed Naruto looking at Rias with a shocked expression. Akeno-chan. Naruto stuttered and screamed out in anger. What are you doing here, Akeno-chan? Get out of here now, it's dangerous here. But when he saw the resemblance between Sirzechs and his Akeno, his face turned into an angry expression. Your real name was Rias Gremory, wasn't it? He asked her in a quiet tone, barely restraining his anger. Yes, Naruto-kun, I'm sorry because I lied to you. Rias lowered her head in shame. But please, Naruto-kun, stop it, I don't want you to be like this. And my mission is to kill you. The purple flames flared out again, but disappeared again. His eyes began to flicker between his normal eyes and crimson eyes with slit pupils. Naruto began to scream out in pain and clutched his head with his hands in agony and collapsed to the ground. Stop him! A strange demonic voice came from the blonde-haired boy. He's being controlled. Stop Naruto now, I can't hold him much longer. Even though Sirzechs didn't understand what was happening, he quickly ran to the boy and cast a sleeping spell onto him. But the boy broke out of the spell and kicked him in the stomach, knocking Sirzechs to the ground and stood up, running to Rias with his blade ready to impale her through her heart. Just as he was about to reach her, an ice cell began to form around him, making Naruto unable to move. His body was struggling against the cell trying to break free, but before he could do anything, 3 figures appeared and put their hands on his head. A giant magic circle appeared above his head and no matter how hard he struggled, Naruto slowly drifted into sleep. Sirzechs, Graia and Lord Gremory breathed out in relief that it was finally over. Rias slowly made her way to the blonde when Graia melted down the ice and hugged him tightly, breaking down in tears. Rias, calm down, honey. Venilana, her mother tried to comfort her. We should bring this boy inside to rest, I promise we won't hurt him. Looked at her mother's kind eyes, Rias let go of her friend so that her brother could carry him in his hands. With a nod, he quickly flew into his bedroom and placed the boy there. Together, he and Graia began to search for his memories to destroy the link between him and this master of his who was controlling Naruto. They didn't have any reason to trust Naruto, but Rias' happiness was the only thing they needed to convince themselves. It had been 3 days since the attack on the Lucifer's castle and everything was pretty much back to normal. Naruto, the boy who had sneaked into the castle in the middle of the night and took out all the members of the strongest peerage in the underworld, still didn't wake up. Security had been placed around the boy 24/7 and Sirzechs' peerage took turns to watch over the boy. The members like Beowulf or Sujiokita, who were easily took out by the boy, had to admit that they had underestimated him and had rightfully paid for their mistake. The protection wasn't for the people around the boy. If he were to wake up, they were protecting the boy. Sirzechs had said that they had to do whatever it took to protect him. This master of his might want the boy back or try to kill him, so Sirzechs couldn't have the boy's power. While scanning through his mind, Sirzechs had found out the boy's memories had been completely erased from his brain and fake memories had been placed inside his mind. The memories were about Sirzechs and depicted his parents brutally killing the boy's family and relatives. This made Naruto wanting to make them pay for what they had done to him. He had found this master and went under his protection and would do everything to fulfill his master's intention. That was the reason why he wanted to kill Rias. They also find the remains of some kind of medicine inside his spine and found out that it would automatically activate 4 hours after drinking water and destroy the memories of his master and everything related to him, even the missions and what happened at the castle that night. They didn't know who he was, but they knew that this master was very intelligent and knew how to hide himself. Speaking of the Rias, the girl had decided to tell her family about her story with Naruto, and they had believed Naruto was a good person now. He was just being used as a pawn by someone to kill Rias. The girl hadn't left Naruto, who was still lying in bed with his mind completely damaged from all the memories that were erased and needed some time to recover. Rias always sat in his room whenever she didn't have to study or train with her peerage. She had asked her brother or her parents almost 1,000 times about when Naruto would wake up and had tried to feed him soup when meal times came. Her parents usually found her asleep beside the blonde's bed with her head resting on the bed. She had cried a lot and always prayed to her brother that he could wake up to play with her soon. While Rias was taking care of the blonde-haired boy, Sirzechs had to discuss with the other Mao about Naruto's conditions. He had found out that Naruto was completely human, but his body structure was really strange. He had a great healing factor that is almost as strong as the Phoenix's clan healing ability, a stronger body than normal, and even though he was unconscious, there was some kind of strange, almost yokai-like energy coming from him. Ajuka, Sirzechs' best friend, had checked his lifespan and almost dropped his equipment in shock at what he saw. The boy's lifespan was longer than any human out there, and they also found out that no matter how old he is, Naruto would always keep the form of an adult man when he finally grew up. Naruto's great power couldn't be denied, and as strong as he is, they couldn't let his power fall into the wrong hands, so everyone had decided that Sirzechs should watch over the boy, which Sirzechs accepted with a smile, considering that his sister was really loved the blonde, almost as much as a girl would feel for her boyfriend. And then, after a week in a coma, Naruto finally woke up. It was a nice morning when Graia came to the bedroom to check on him, while Suji and Beowulf stood outside of the door waiting for her, and helped Graia if she needed them. Graia looked at the boy who was lying on the bed with a frown. She still couldn't believe that this boy could melt down her ice spear by a power that could make him breath out fire like a dragon. She could understand how the power behind that flame could take out 3 of the strongest devils in the underworld. She had felt the power of Senjutsu behind that attack, and she knew how dangerous and powerful a spell could be with help with natural energy. While the strongest queen admitted that she had underestimated Naruto, she still thought what could have happened if she didn't look down on him. Her hands would be stained with the blood of an innocent child, and she would never forgive herself after that. Suddenly, just as when Graia had finished changing the clothes for Naruto, the boy began to groan quietly. His body started to stir and his eyes were opening and closing rapidly due to the brightness of the light coming from the windows. Graia rushed out the doors and quickly turned to Suji, who had the fastest speed among the 3 of them. "Suji-san, please go find Sirzechs-sama. Tell him that Naruto has woken up." Suji's eyes widened in surprise but quickly nodded his head with a smile. Before he could go to Sirzechs' office, Graia stopped him again. "And remember not to tell Rias-sama about it. She will rush into this room the moment she knows Naruto has woken up, and she will disturb Sirzechs-sama." Suji nodded again with a smile, and by using his great speed, Suji instantly disappeared in a gust of wind. Yash, the boy, had woken up. Beowulf punched his palm with excitement in his voice. "Now I will have a rematch, Ouch. Wani-san, I was just kidding." Beowulf screamed out in pain when the strongest queen stomped right on his foot with enough force to crack some bones inside him. Shaking her head in disappointment, Graia quickly returned to the room. When she got back to the room, she saw the boy has completely woken up and was looking around with curiosity in his eyes. His blue eyes then landed on her and Graia smiled a little. The boy's eyes showed nothing but kindness and worry inside them. It was so different than the cold eyes that night. Hello. Naruto tried to find a proper word to call the beautiful lady wearing maid outfit before him but felt that his mind was too fuzzy to think right now. The last thing Naruto remembered was playing with Akeno as usual. He could feel some gash between his memories, but couldn't remember what it is no matter how much he tried. The next thing he knew, he had woken up on a soft bed, unlike the hard ground he was used to. Looking around, Naruto's eyes widened when he saw that he was in some fancy, expensive-looking place filled with so many things he couldn't believe he would see up close before. "My name is Graia Lucifer. I'm the head maid of the Gremry clan, also the personal maid of Sirzechs Lucifer-sama." Graia lowered her head a little to greet Naruto. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto instantly gasped in surprise. If this was the personal maid of Sirzechs Lucifer, then that's mean he was in the Lucifer castle. "But how do you know my name, Graia-san?" Naruto asked nervously. Apparently she knew something about him. It's not every day a normal orphan like him from the capital Lilith could sleep in a castle like this, and in the Lucifer's castle at that. "All your questions will be answered in due time, Naruto-san." Graia nodded her head with a small smile on her face. Suddenly, the door opened and a handsome and young man in his early 20s with shoulder-length crimson-red hair and blue-green eyes walked in. Even if the man's face showed nothing but kindness and a playful smile on his face, Naruto could also feel monstrous magical energy coming from inside him. This was the first time Naruto had ever seen the crimson red of the underworld, the leader of the 4 great Satans, Sirzechs Lucifer. The strange thing was that the curves of his face, the shade of his crimson hair, his blue-green eyes and even the hairstyle, reminds him of her. He looks exactly a male, older version of Akeno, thought Naruto. Naruto began to think about Sirzechs. He had heard that he didn't have a child yet, which meant Akeno was a relative of Sirzechs. And he knew only one relative that could look exactly like the Mao, which was his sister, the princess of the Gremry clan. The Himejima Akeno he had always played with was Rias Gremry. "Shit, I'm in deep trouble," Naruto cursed out in his mind. He always knew his friend was rich, but being a member of the Gremry clan, which means she was one of the richest girls in the underworld and could be the most powerful princess in the underworld by her family lineage alone. How didn't he realize this before? How many devils had that crimson hair, and the money that could buy everything she wanted with just a part of her saved-up money? Seeing the blonde-haired boy hugged his head and shaking, Sirzechs chuckled a little. He couldn't believe that this boy had wiped out his peerage and nearly made him use his real form to fight with him. That alone had speak volumes about the boy's power, and what could he do in the future if he had proper training. Sirzechs coughed in his hand to draw the boy's attention to him. Graia took out a chair using her magic and put it beside the bed for her master. Sirzechs thanked her and sat down in the chair with Graia standing behind him. "Good morning, Naruto-kun, feeling well?" he asked kindly. Sirzechs didn't want Naruto to feel overwhelmed or anything. The boy had just suffered brain damage and his mind clearly hadn't completely healed after all. Ah yes, Sirzechs-sama, thank you for taking care of me. Naruto nodded his head and smiled nervously. It's not every day that he could talk with the great Sirzechs Lucifer. But sir, could I ask you something? After receiving a nod from Sirzechs he proceeded, why am I here? I mean, what happened to me that I'm in here? First, Naruto-kun, you just need to call me Sirzechs or Sirzechs-san, it's fine with me. Naruto smiled with a nod, and to answer your question, we had found you unconscious and suffering from a great deal of brain damage. You have lost a lot of your memories about your past life and you just remembered a few recent events. With my sister in it actually. Sirzechs chuckled again, seeing the boy blushed and embarrassed. The story he just told Naruto wasn't a lie but not the truth either. Everyone knew about that event, including Rias, and they had decided that Naruto shouldn't know about what he did to everyone, especially Rias that night. If he knew about that, Naruto might never forgive himself for nearly killing his best friend. The fake memories had been erased from his mind by that strange medicine, so they couldn't let Naruto find out the truth about everything. They couldn't think of what could happen if he found out. So Akeno-chan's real name is Rias Gremory? Naruto asked and received a nod from Sirzechs. That's right, Himejima Akeno is actually the queen of Rias's peerage. The Mao explained to him Leviathan actually want to be friend with you in a normal way, so she had given you her queen's name. She had very few friends that could play with her normally, you know, Naruto-kun. Naruto thought about it. It's true that Rias had told him she had a lot of friends at school because all of them always looked up to her. The normal friends she did have were always some relatives or had the same status than her. At the time, Naruto just thought that she came from some rich family of Lilith, not one of the richest families in the underworld. Where is she now? He asked. She is studying right now. Sirzechs smiled. She didn't leave your side in the whole week, you know, always tried to feed you soup and asked when you would wake up, damn it, I was so jealous. Sirzechs screamed out, making Naruto jump in surprise at the Mao's action, but he instantly shut up when Graia brought out her hand and hit the back of his head, hard. Please control yourself, Sirzechs-sama. Graia said dangerously, or I will. She finished with a wave of killing intent directed at her master, making Sirzechs nodded his head in terror and Naruto's sweat dropped. Maybe even if Sirzechs was a Mao, he still could be very childish sometimes. And a Siscon too, if he guessed right. So, Naruto-kun, I had something to offer you. Sirzechs said, but this time he had said it seriously, making Naruto sit straight up to listen. Would you like to become a member of my peerage? Naruto's eyes widened in shock. Sirzechs Lucifer had just offered him a chance to be a member of the strongest peerage in the underworld. They don't know about my special powers, do they? Naruto thought inside of his head. He couldn't remember much about his past, however the thing he could remember clearly was the power he was born with. He had decided to keep it a secret even to Rias because he didn't want some power-hungry people use him. He knew a few lower-class devils like him were born with great power, until one of the high-class ones came and take them for their personal use. Naruto didn't want that to happen to himself, so that was the reason he decided to hide his powers. But then again, the Gremory clan were renowned for being devils with extraordinary affection. As such, they do not discriminate themselves from their servants, and treated them like they were their own family. So the devils of the underworld always wanted to serve at the Gremory clan, willingly. And he was like that too. Naruto wanted to work with the Gremory clan or at Lucifer's castle and always wanted to use his gift to help and serve good people. So the offer wasn't bad at all. Sirzechs offering Naruto a chance to be a member of his peerage meant that he could protect Naruto better. Sirzechs' pieces were really popular among the devils because of how powerful they were, so if Naruto joined his peerage, people won't feel suspicion about his powers. Maybe other devils would believe that Naruto was a devil, but inside he was a completely normal human, and without a sacred gear. This meant that having that much power could cause huge problems later on. After 5 minutes in thought, Naruto made up his mind. Sirzechs-san, will I see Rias-chan again, after becoming your servant? Naruto asked. Don't worry, Naruto-kun, Leviathan always found some way to come visit me in the past. Then he smiled mysteriously, and now with you here, I guess I can meet my sister 24/7. Then I accept, Sirzechs-san. Naruto nodded his head and smiled when Sirzechs brought out his pieces. Rias had finished her studies with her personal tutor, was ready to come visit Naruto again, with Akeno and Kaneko following behind her. Naruto's condition hadn't gotten better at all in the previous week. She had hoped that he would wake up soon, so she could tell him the truth about her. She and Akeno still felt slightly scared after that night, when Naruto stomped into her room and was ready to kill her with his own hands. But after she found out he was manipulated by some evil master, Rias was really relieved that Naruto was still the same person she had laughed and played with. Despite everything the adults said about how they would take care of him, Rias still tried to come to his room whenever she had free time or didn't have to study or handle personal activities. Rias had tried to feed him the soup she learned from her mother, and usually fell asleep there until Graia or her mother took Rias to her room. But no matter what happened, Rias always tried to visit him. Akeno had teased her about Naruto every chance she got. Her sadistic nature never left Rias alone when she was with Naruto, or spaced out remembering about him. What worried Rias the most was that Akeno found Naruto really cute and definitely wanted to get to know him when Naruto woke up. To make matters worse was that Naruto would want to know the real Himejima Akeno. Kaneko on the other hand began to act strangely after feeling the power of Naruto. She said something about the power of Senjutsu. She had seen Kaneko sneak into Naruto's room before and just sat there with her eyes closed. But the strangest thing was that the little Nakomata brought out her cat ears and tail whenever she was around Naruto. When her brother asked the girl about Naruto, she had said that Naruto smelled like toad and fox at the same time. Also Kaneko could smell the faint sense of cat, turtle and a variety of animals from him, even slug and bug. First her, then Akeno, and now he captured Kaneko's attention without even trying. Mumbling something girls her age shouldn't say, Rias went off to Naruto's room and tried to find some way to wake him up sooner, or maybe she should use her devil's pieces to help him recover faster. After all, they could even reincarnate someone already dead. Rias had planned that when Naruto woke up and after revealing her true identity to him, she would make him her servant, so that he will never leave her side. She was really glad that her parents had forgiven Naruto's actions that night, and really wanted to get to know the boy who had made their daughter so happy during the past few months. But when she already made her way to the corridor that led to Naruto's room, the purple sky outside began to darken, and she felt that familiar feeling when Akeno and Kaneko were reincarnated into devils. And that feeling was coming straight from Naruto's room, but the energy was 100 times stronger than her own. Quickly running to Naruto's room and bending her body down to avoid Tsuji and Beowulf, she pushed the door open and saw a blinding crimson light coming from the bed. Once her eyes got used to the light, she saw her brother and Graia were standing beside Naruto, who was lying on the bed with 5 evil pieces hovering above him. She tried to scream out for her brother to stop, only for the evil pieces to fly into Naruto's chest and disappear inside him and finally turn him into a devil in Sirzechs' Peerage. When the crimson light died down, Naruto opened his eyes and sat up. Strange, I thought it would hurt or something like that. Naruto puts a hand on his chest and thought about it. He turned his head to Sirzechs but finally noticed Rias' appearance in the room. Rias-chan. The Crimson Mao and his maid turned around to face with an angry Rias Gremory, who was looking straight at her beloved brother with teary eyes with her cheeks bulging. Sirzechs would have screamed out kawaii and hugged his sister right there, but he knew exactly the reason for her anger and didn't want to upset her more. Oni-itama, what did you do? She muttered dangerously. You see, Ryutan, Naruto had decided that he wanted to join my peerage. Sirzechs smiled playfully to his sister, and I had made him into one of my servants using the rest of my evil pieces. Cool, isn't it? A crimson aura began to appear around the little girl, her bangs shadowing her eyes. When Sirzechs opened his mouth to apologize to her, Rias looked up with an angry face and kicked her brother right between the legs. Daionai baka. Naruto couldn't help but cross his legs and winced at the devastating attack he witnessed just now and looked at Sirzechs, who was writhing in agony on the floor, with pity. After a lot of tears of both pain and sadness from the brother, Graia finally pulled her master out of the room and gave the 2 children some space. Rias just sat in the chair and looked at Naruto like he had betrayed her or something. Decided to break the silence, Naruto asked her the question he always wants to ask. So, you're Rias Gremory? Naruto asked carefully, as he didn't want to anger her more or something. Rias looked at Naruto with a surprised face, then looked away with shame-filled eyes. She knew that lying to your friend, especially Naruto who had become an important person to her, was bad, really bad. She tried to find the right words to answer him. After all, she just wanted to make friend with Naruto, a normal friend, with whom she could just be a child with. But she felt Naruto's hand on her head, and she looked up to see the smiling face of Naruto. Don't worry, Rias-chan, no matter who you are, you will always be my first friend, Naruto said, then grinned, making Rias' eyes lighten up, her cheeks redden, and the princess finally broke into a smile. If we're friends, just call me Rias-chan like you used to, even in public, okay? Rias said to Naruto when he took his hand from her head. Naruto looked at her curiously. After all, he's just a servant of her brother, and she is the princess, the next heiress of a big clan. He didn't know if calling her like that in public is okay now, considering that he had knows about her status now. But if she wanted it, then he will do as she command. Okay, Rias-chan. Naruto and Rias talked about a lot of things till afternoon, when Naruto finally could get out of the bed, followed Rias through the corridors of the Lucifer's castle, and finally made their way to the main dining room. Rias stepped in first. Naruto took a deep breath and followed behind her. Looking around the main dining room, he saw a lot of maids and servants were being ordered by Graia and running past him to set up the food on the table for the Gremory family. Rias had been ordered from her family to bring Naruto here with her, so he would eat dinner with the rest of her family. He could see that the man sitting at the head table with a warm smile watching him carefully was Rias' father, Lord Gremory, and the woman sat there beside him were Rias' mother, who looked like an older version of Rias with the exception of her shorter hair. Both of them were looking directly at Naruto, making him feel slightly nervous and self-conscious. And then there were the two girls that sat near Rias. One of them was around the same age as Rias with very long black hair and violet eyes. Her hair being tied in a long ponytail, reaching all the way down to her legs with two strands sticking out from the top and sloping backwards with a blue ribbon keeping it in place. Her face was really cute yet a lot mature than Rias thanks to her ponytail. The most noticeable of her appearance was her asset, which was a little bigger than a normal girl her age should have. The girl looked at him with a smile on her face and winked at him when she saw his eyes landing on her. The next girl was a really cute little girl around 10 years of age with white hair and hazel eyes. At the front, her hair has two long bangs going past her shoulders and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back has a short bob cut. The girl was looking at him with a blank expression on her face, making it kind of hard to tell what she was thinking in her head at the moment. But Naruto felt the energy coming from her very familiar. "Ah, Naruto-kun," Sirzechs said from behind him when he stepped inside the room. Naruto turned his head to see the crimson Lucifer smiling at him, and kindly said, "Now, follow me, you will sit next to me, Naruto-kun." Naruto quickly followed Sirzechs to the table and sat down next to him. His seat was opposite to the white-haired girl, who still didn't take her eyes away from him, but then again, except for Graia and the servants, everybody in this room were looking at him with curiosity. But he could see it wasn't just curiosity in the gaze from the black-haired girl's eyes. "Tu-sama, Ka-sama," Sirzechs said from his seat and motioned his hand to the blonde boy. "Let me introduce you to my newest servant, Naruto Uzumaki." Both parents didn't seem so surprised about the news. Naruto guessed maybe Sirzechs had told them beforehand that he was going to make Naruto his servant by using his devil's pieces. "Naruto, a pleasure to meet you. My name is Joseph Gremory, current head of the Gremory clan." Rias' father stood up and Naruto quickly did the same. Both of them shook each other's hand with a smile on their face. "Me too, Gremory-sama." "A pleasure to meet you, Naruto-san. My name is Venelana Gremory." Venelana stood up and said to Naruto and offered her hand to him. He just shook it like with Lord Gremory, making his wife smile a little and gaining a chuckle from Sirzechs. "The pleasure is mine, Venelana-sama." When Graia finally finished her duties, she came and stood behind Sirzechs as usual. The servant began to put dinner on the table and Naruto could feel that he was really hungry and wanted nothing more than dig in and eat his food. But this was a high-class dinner, so he guessed he had to act like someone had proper manners. When everybody began to eat their food, Naruto tried to eat as slow as he could. He could feel two sets of eyes looking at him directly, and knew exactly who they belonged to. Graia and Venelana, no doubt about it. "So, Naruto-san, can you tell us more about yourself?" Venelana broke the silence. "Yum, Venelana-sama." Naruto swallowed the food in his throat and said, "There is not much about me really. As far as I remembered, I had been living on the streets since I was 2 years old. Traveled here and there until I stopped here at Lilith to try find a job or someplace that accepted me, but sadly that no one wants to take in a 10-year-old kid. That's all that happened to me until I met your daughter." Rias smiled brightly when she heard that part. Naruto had found out that the Gremory family was just like Rias. They were kind, warm, and could become very funny in the male member's case. The dinner was enjoyable with delicious food, good drinks, and a lot of laughs as Rias told them about her studies with her tutor and her magical power training. Speaking of training, an hour after the dinner, Naruto came face to face with Beowulf, the descendant of the hero Beowulf and also Sirzechs' pawn just like him. He has the appearance of a man in his mid-20s with brown hair and was one of the top 5 pawns in the underworld, which meant he was extremely powerful. Sirzechs had decided they should test Naruto's power and told the boy he should go all out against someone like Beowulf. Graia was standing outside with her hand raised to create a barrier to protect the Lucifer's castle against Beowulf's strength, but as when she cast her spells, Graia's eyes kept glancing at Naruto. Well, nothing to hide now, he will show them his power. Rias was sitting in a chair behind the barrier with Akeno and Kaneko. Even though she knew that Naruto had defeated all the members of her brother's peerage that night, she also knew that they had underestimated him, and there was no way Beowulf will make the same mistake again. She was really worried for Naruto, and hoped Beowulf didn't hurt him much. The rest of Sirzechs' peerage came to see their newest comrade in action. Even though they saw Naruto's power with their own eyes, they still couldn't believe he held that much power at such a young age. McGregor had done some research about humans who could use senjutsu and found out Naruto was what ancient humans called sage. "Now if you two ready, then begin." Just as Sirzechs said that, Naruto instantly slammed his palm to the ground with some strange words spreading out everywhere, and in a puff of smoke, a tri-pronged kunai appeared on the ground. Naruto slowly picked it up and pointed it at Beowulf. Naruto-kun, do you really think you can defeat me with that little knife?" While really impressed with the trick the kid had just used to summon the kunai, he also felt kind of put off that Naruto didn't use those powers from that night. He really wanted to test out the real strength of a sage and his power in senjutsu. But the pawn of Sirzechs knew better than underestimate Naruto. We will see about that. Naruto smirked confidently, and readied himself to pull the first trick he found out when he was 4 years old. This trick had helped him a lot in stealing food and was one of the most useful tricks he had to help him survive. However, this was the first time he had used it in combat. Let's see what you got, kid. Beowulf smirked and ran with blinding speed at the boy tried to punch him, but Naruto had seen through it and stepped out of the way to avoid the strong punch. He quickly used his kunai to slash him, but Beowulf had caught his wrist and put some force into his grip, making Naruto yell out in pain and drop the kunai. He grabbed Naruto's collar and threw him high into the sky, making the spectators look in worry. Come on, kid, is that all you got? Beowulf shouted out excitedly and lowered his body down, ready to jump up. But his eyes widened when Naruto's body instantly disappeared in the sky, and he felt a hard punch in the back of his head a millisecond after Naruto had disappeared. What happened? Rias asked wide-eyed when Naruto just disappeared in the sky like that. Then when she heard that strange sound, she looked back to the ground and saw Beowulf being punched by Naruto in the back of his head. Sirzechs didn't answer his sister's question. He was just like the others who didn't understand what happened. He didn't feel Naruto move when he was in the sky at all. He also knew that there was no teleportation magic used. The boy couldn't just disappear, only to reappear instantly on the ground and punch Beowulf without him noticing like that. When Beowulf jumped back a little to make distance with Naruto, the blonde sure knew how to punch. It wasn't enough to knock him out, but Beowulf could feel the force behind that punch. Give or take a few years, the boy could take out a high-class devil with only his sheer strength alone. Picking up the kunai, Naruto pointed it to Beowulf again, this time with a smile on his face. What is it, Beowulf and I-sama, feeling tired already? A few members of Sirzechs' Peerage chuckle at Naruto's banter. Well, I will let you attack me this time. Let's see what you got. Beowulf smirked when Naruto threw the kunai at him. With the speed Naruto had thrown it, Beowulf just had to sidestep and the kunai would pass through him harmlessly. But just when the blade passed him, Naruto had appeared right in front of him in a yellow flash and caught the kunai before punching the older pawn in the face. Instantly snapping his head back, Beowulf tried to kick him, but Naruto had let go of the kunai, making it fall to the ground and disappeared again, only to reappear at Beowulf's left side and punched him in his right leg. Again, the brown-haired man tried to catch the boy, only for him to disappear with the same movement with his kunai and reappeared at his right side and punched him on the other leg. Whenever he disappeared, he always drops that kunai. Beowulf thought in his mind when Naruto continued to punch him everywhere, doing the same movement. And he always reappears where the kunai is, that's it. Smirking, Beowulf prepared for Naruto's attack. When Naruto dropped the kunai again, he quickly caught it and threw it to the other side where the ground was uneven. When Naruto had disappeared again, but this time Naruto lost his balance and fell face first to the ground where the kunai was located. Aha, I was right, kid! Beowulf screamed out in victory when Naruto tried to get up. That kunai is the secret of your trick, kid. You can teleport to wherever that kunai is, kid. That's why you could move that fast, and you fell face first to the ground when I threw the kunai away from me, because you didn't anticipate the kunai will go that direction. So that's why. Sirzechs nodded his head in agreement. He had felt something strange about that kunai and could see some strange kanji on the handle from the beginning, but thought it was just the name of the kunai. Sirzechs had thought that the kunai was just a normal weapon. He couldn't think it was a mark so that Naruto could teleport to its location. But still, moving at that speed with just a kunai, this power could come in very handy in the future. Who knows what Naruto can do when he masters it? He probably could use multiple kunai at the same time to face Beowulf through, increasing his combat powers immensely. Cursing out under his breath, Naruto didn't want to reveal more of his power. He wanted to defeat his senpai with just this skill alone. Smirking evilly, Naruto began to put his hand to the ground again. Hey Beowulf and I-sama, Naruto asked, his evil smirk beginning to widen. You want me to defeat you or humiliate you? What did you say, Naruto-kun? Beowulf asked back. I couldn't hear you. Then so be it. Naruto finished and put his energy into his palm. The marks appeared on the ground again, and in a puff of smoke, in front of Naruto was dozens of the same kunai. He picked all the kunai up and smirked. Wait, Naruto-kun. Beowulf paled immediately. With that much kunai, he wouldn't be able to predict where Naruto would teleport to. Plus, with the smirk on his face, he felt the kid had some evil plan in his head. I was just joking, hey. No need to get angry, it was just a joke. Yes, a joke? On the sidelines, Sirzechs was thinking, never mind. Too late. Naruto smirked, and 2 puffs of smoke appeared beside him to reveal 2 exact copies of Naruto standing there with the same smirk on their faces. The spectators gasped out in shock at the boy's power, especially Kaneko. If she was right, these were shadow clones. Her sister had told her all about ninjutsu after all. Let's do it, boys. Yeah, boss. The clones screamed out and began to throw the kunais everywhere alongside the real Naruto. Beowulf's eyes widened when a few seconds later, The whole area was filled with tri-pronged kunais, creating the perfect battlefield for Naruto. The clones disappeared and Naruto held his own kunai tightly in his hand and set out seriously. "Let the games begin," and then disappeared in a flash of yellow. Outside the barrier, the spectator saw nothing but blinding flashes of yellow around Beowulf, so fast that even Tsuji found it hard to keep up with the boy's speed. Inside the barrier, Naruto was punching Beowulf while teleporting all around like there was no tomorrow. The older pawn tried to catch him but failed as the boy was too fast. Darkness began slowly filling his vision as he was getting weaker until finally Beowulf lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Naruto reappeared in front of Beowulf's unconscious body and fell to his knee, breathing hard. His power was really tiring to use and this was the first time he had used his kunai this many times. Still kneeling, he could feel his consciousness slowly drifting away from his body and began to fall to the ground. The last thing he saw was a mass of crimson hair before darkness completely took him. Naruto woke up the second time in a day, but this time, he could see he was in someone else's room. The room was really girly with pink all over the place. There were a lot of teddy bear and all kinds of stuffed animals. In the middle of the room was a flat-screen TV and DVD player. Next to the TV was a large bookcase filled with books, which by the look of it were manga books. "Oh, Naruto-kun, you woken up." Naruto looked towards the sound and saw Rias sitting on a chair facing a large mirror and brushing her crimson hair with a pink comb with her looking very happy. "Rias-chan, why am I in your room?" Naruto asked in confusion. "Oh, I had asked my parents if you could sleep with me." Rias smiled happily, and guess what, they accepted, but I think Oni-Itama wasn't happy about that. Oh well. She stood up and began to take off her clothes, making Naruto blush furiously and turn away. "Hey, what are you doing?" He tried not to scream out. It was night time and he didn't want to wake up everybody here. "Oh, I can't sleep with my clothes on, Naruto-kun." She answered him with her own smile, her cheeks reddening a little when she finished taking off her clothes and climbed onto the bed and hugged Naruto tightly, making Naruto's cheeks even redder than before. "What? You a problem with it?" she asked with a glare. No, of course not." Naruto quickly defended himself. "I hope she changes her mind in the future. I mean, she wouldn't want to sleep with a boy while naked in the future, would she?" Naruto asked himself in his mind and didn't know how wrong he was. "Hey, Naruto-kun? Promise me that you will never leave my side and never do anything that will worry me." "Rias. Promise me." Rias said softly and hugged him even tighter, just like when we promised each other that day. She brought out her pinky finger and showed it to Naruto. The boy looked at her curiously but smiled and nodded his head. "I promise." He hooked his finger to hers and the two of them smiled brightly. A year passed after Naruto joined Sirzechs' Peerage, and a lot had changed since then. Naruto now had the same type of education as Rias when she was at home during the summer vacation, but his tutor was none other than Venelana Gremry, Rias' mother herself. She wanted a member of her oldest child's peerage to have proper education and manners alike, and she kept muttering something about the future if things turned for the best with Naruto and Rias. Venelana had proven herself that she was a very strict tutor and wouldn't forgive Naruto if he didn't repeat exactly what she was teaching him and wanted nothing but perfection. But thanks to this, Naruto finally learned how to act like a member of high-class society, their ways and what he needed to attend a high-class party. Naruto also remembered the every name of the 72 pillars of the devils, which he managed to do in just 1 month. When the summer vacation reached its end, Rias had cried a lot because she had thought that she wouldn't be able to see Naruto for a whole year because she had school, she would be really busy and won't have time to play with Naruto anymore. But her parents had calmed her by letting Naruto come with them to their home. The next heiress of the Gremry clan was a very happy girl that day indeed. In the same year, Naruto managed to learn much more about Rias. He wasn't that surprised when he found out Rias was an otaku because he had seen her reading manga before when she had time, or when Naruto was busy. She had a big collection of manga, anime and cosplay costumes. She even made him watch anime with her until midnight, and would fall asleep with her head on his shoulder. She even had a few manga and anime children her age shouldn't read or watch. But then again, she was a devil, so he guessed this kind of thing wasn't really important to her. Naruto was walking through the corridors of the castle while carrying a big box in his hands. This box was something that Lord Gremry wanted to be delivered to the post station, so he asked Naruto if he could do it for him. The box was pretty heavy and it made him wonder what was inside of it. Fortunately, thanks to his newfound strength, he could carry the box without any problem. Rias was at school at the moment, as she had to attend to some meeting that only high-class devils could attend. Naruto knocked at the door of Lord Gremry's room before opening it. "Gremry-san." Naruto called out to the man who was doing some paperwork at his table. The man looked up and smiled at Naruto. "I delivered the package," said Naruto. He had become very comfortable around Rias' parents. They had taken care of him like their own son for a whole year. Venelana had tried to make him call her Okasama a few times, but Naruto would always refuse the generous offer, saying that he still didn't have the right to call her Okasama, but she only showed a mysterious smile, and said that maybe someday he would call her like that. Thank you Naruto-kun. Lord Gremory smiled at the blonde-haired boy. Naruto had become a part of his family in less than a month after he came here. Now he saw the boy as one of his own. Naruto was truly a child that anyone would wish for, kind and full of happiness. The servants at the castle, especially the maids, really like him because he would always help them whenever he had the chance. Watching Naruto made the elder Gremory remember when Sirzechs was still a child. Your job is done Naruto-kun, however I have one more favor to ask you. What is it Gremory-san? Naruto asked curiously. Lord Gremory opened a drawer from his desk and took out a letter had the crimson symbols of the Gremory clan on the back. Please deliver this letter to the head of Sitri clan as soon as possible. He handed him the letter and smiled. You can go now Naruto-kun, and I still need to finish all this blasted paperwork, said Lord Gremory with a sigh and looked at the massive stacks of paper in front of him. Trying not to laugh at his predicament, Naruto said his goodbyes and went to the nearest station to go to the Sitri clan's territory. He still had some problems with the teleport spell. McGregor had said that he had too much magic reserves inside his body and had little to no control over it. However, it was a different matter when he used his own powers and not devil ones. So he couldn't use the teleport spell not unless he wanted to appear somewhere he didn't know, or worse, the fallen angel's territory. Naruto had learned a lot about the Sitri household from Venelana's lesson when she was talking about the 72 pillars. Sitri was the house that gave birth to the current Leviathan. Members of the Sitri clan specialized in water-based magic, with the Sitri territory being known for its richness in nature, having the most natural reserves among the territories belonging to high-class devils. The Sitri clan are also known to be one of the few territories which have advanced medical facilities and has some of the most famous hospitals in the underworld. Even Naruto's brain damage was cured at the most advanced hospital there. After 45 minutes of traveling, Naruto finally arrived at Sitri territory. It was exactly as he had read about it. This place was filled with so much greenery. He could see the forest from here, and a part of him felt that he wouldn't mind living here for the rest of his life. Naruto felt nothing but peace while being here. From the station, Naruto began to walk at the Sitri's castle, hoping that the head of the Sitri clan was at home. Based on what Akeno had told him about the younger daughter of the Sitri clan, she was a good friend of Rias but also had some kind of rivalry with her. Naruto could still remember the last time he was here, and it was while traveling in an ambulance that was driving him to the hospital. The head doctor even said that he needed the best medical attention they could get for him. After another 20 minutes of walking, Naruto finally reached his destination. He could have run and made it there in only a few minutes, but Naruto wanted to see the city. He could see that the Sitri clan was as rich and powerful as the Gremory clan. It was no surprise, seeing that they were, after all, one of the most powerful family of the 72 pillars. From what he had heard about the current Leviathan, he knew that she was a girl around Sirzechs' age and the most powerful female in the underworld. Not only that, Graia used to challenge her for the title of Leviathan, and their fight had completely frozen the underworld, but Leviathan had won in the end. Naruto had done some research about the Sitri family and found out their specialty was the use of water-based magic. But if Graia and this Leviathan had fought and froze the underworld, then that meant that Leviathan's magic was ice-based magic, which is somewhat different than her family's trademark magic. When Naruto was nearing the gates of the castle, he felt a gust of wind behind him and turned around, only to see a pink blur ran past him with extreme speed, nearly knocking him to the ground with sheer speed alone, the pink blur going straight to the castle. What the hell is that? Naruto asked. The only person he knew with that kind of speed was Tsuji. Esotan. A girlish scream rang out from the castle. Naruto wondered who was she and assumed that she had a powerful set of lungs to scream that loud. The castle was really big and had a massive garden, and yet he could still hear that girl's voice clearly. When the door opened for him, Naruto began to walk inside and informed the guard about the message he had to deliver to the head of the Sitri house. At first they didn't trust him, but after seeing the symbol of the Gremory, they let him in. The castle of the Sitri clan was as big as the Gremory's, while inside the Gremory castle was decorated mostly with red. The Sitri castle was mostly blue. Even the maids and servants here were wearing a blue outfit with the symbol of the Sitri clan on their chest. Speaking about the maids, Naruto could hear a lot of giggles coming that came from them. Also, he noticed how they were throwing glances at him and began to feel a little uncomfortable. It was just like the first month at the Gremory castle. All the younger maids there were always glancing at him and would burst out in giggles whenever he looked back. It lasted for a month until Rias had put a stop to it with the help of Akeno. Strangely enough, it was the first time he had ever seen those two actually agree on something. While Naruto was wondering where the head of the Sitri was, he heard someone coming from behind him and jumped at him on purpose. Acting quickly, Naruto crouched down, and that person flew past his head harmlessly and fell face first onto the ground. The problem was that jumped was a girl wearing a very short skirt, so when she fell to the ground, her skirt was lifted up to her hip, exposing her white panties for Naruto's naked eyes. Ouch, that hurt. The girl moaned out, and trying to stand up, Naruto was trying to look away from the view the girl was giving him. Are you okay? Said Naruto, trying to look away. He quickly stood up and went to help the girl in question by offering her a hand. The girl took his hand and stood up. Now Naruto finally had a good view of the girl. She was a beautiful girl with long, black hair tied in twin ponytails and violet eyes. She looked no older than him, but her breasts were bigger than even Akeno and some of the adult maids at the Gremory Castle. She was dressed in magical girl clothing, the same outfit of the main heroine from Magical Girl Milky Spiral 7, an anime Naruto had watched with Rias 3 months ago. She was holding a long wand with the same design as the wand in the anime. Her forehead was slightly red from the impact, but all in all she looked perfectly fine. Hello, Naruto greeted her with a smile, but the girl was glaring at him like he had taken something important from her. Where is Sotan? She asked him while looking directly at his eyes. Her face was so close to him that if he were to move just a little, his nose would touch hers. You're hiding her, aren't you? She asked with a glare. That was when Naruto felt that something was not right. The temperature around the castle began to drop at a really fast pace. I don't know, what are you talking about? Naruto tried to defend himself. He took a step back, but the girl also moved forward. Don't lie to me. The girl tried to grab him, but Naruto had decided to run away from the crazy magical girl. He could hear the girl was running right behind him while shouting for him to stop. He quickly summoned the Triprongs kunai in his hand when he realized the blur he saw a few minutes ago was this girl, and she was extremely fast. Before he could throw the kunai, an ice wall had appeared right in front of him, and his eyes widened in shock. A girl in the Sitri clan had used ice-based magic. There was only one Sitri that could do that. Sairaorg Leviathan, said Naruto, stopping dead on his track when he realized who was chasing him. But he didn't know that Sairaorg was still running and crashed straight into him when he suddenly stopped. He felt something very soft that contacted to the back of his head, but this time he was prepared for it. Naruto quickly regained his balance before he could fall to the ground. You are tougher than I expected. The magical girl, now named Sairaorg, quickly left his back with a confused look on her face. Well, now spill it out. Where is my Sotan? Leviathan-sama. Naruto turned around and said with a serious voice, I don't know, what are you talking about, and I didn't hide your Sotan. Naruto pulled the letter out of his pocket and showed it to the Mao. I'm here to deliver this message to your father, the head of Sitri clan, Lord Sitri. Sairaorg tilted her head to the side and took the letter from him. This was the first time he had ever seen the Mao's Sairaorg Leviathan, and she didn't look like what he had expected. But Naruto knew better than judge a Mao by their appearance. After all, he had learned that the hard way that most of the time that the crazier and weirder people are always the strong ones. Take Sirzechs for example, and now Sairaorg too. Okay, her hand the letter back to Naruto with a smile. But do you know where Sotan is? I had been looking for her everywhere. Say, Leviathan-sama, by any chance this Sotan is your sister? Asked Naruto, getting a nod from here. Then she must be at school at the moment, said Naruto, trying to calm Sairaorg. How did you know that Sotan was at school? Sairaorg asked again. This time her playful tone was gone. Are you a stalker that follows my sister? I knew it. She is too cute for her own good, said Sairaorg, but was quickly interrupted by Naruto. No, Leviathan-sama, my friend Rias Gremory happened to attend the same meeting as your sister, said Naruto. The Mao looked at Naruto up and down and finally realizing something. So you must be Naruto Uzumaki, Sirzechs-chan's newest pawn, Sairaorg said. It's good that I can finally meet you, you're so cute. Then she beginning to do some poses and finished with a wink, and it looked somehow familiar to him. Maybe he had seen those movements somewhere before. My name is Sairaorg Leviathan, but you could call me Sarah-chan or Leviathan. Because I'm the great magical girl Leviathan. That's it. Now Naruto remembered where all those poses came from. It was from the TV show Miracle Leviathan. Rias had made him watch that anime with her every Saturday, and the main heroine was a magical girl who would fight the evil forces to protect justice. While it was a little childish, Naruto knew that the children of the underworld really loved the show, maybe even the adults, considering that the main heroine was really sexy. Naruto-chan Mao, why don't you ask me for my photograph? Everyone always asks for my photograph when they see me. The Mao suddenly hugged Naruto really tight. I always wanted to meet you, Naruto-chan. You look so cute with those whiskers marks. Please, just call me Sarah-chan or Leviathan, okay? She began to bring her hand to his cheeks and caressed his whisker marks. Naruto's cheeks began to redden. While Sirzechs was childish, he didn't know that someone could be even more childish than him. The strongest female of the underworld was playing with his whiskers with excitement. He wanted to make her stop but was afraid of making her upset, so he let her do what she wanted, but instantly remembered about his job here, so he took a step back. Sorry, Sarah-chan. The magical Mao eyes shone with happiness when he called her that, but I need to deliver this message to your father. Sorry, Naruto-chan. Sairaorg smiled brightly to him, but my father isn't home now, So if you want, you could give the letter to me, I'll give it to my father later. Oh, thank you, Sarah-chan. Naruto lowered his head down to thank her and gave her the letter. Even though Sairaorg was smiling brightly and didn't look like it, she was eyeing the blonde-haired boy before her carefully. She had heard about Naruto from Sirzechs and found out a lot about him. After all, she was the Mao in charge of foreign affairs. She had asked everyone about Naruto as carefully as she could, but Sairaorg still didn't find out much about him. This boy before her was full of mysteries, not to mention his powers. This boy came out of nowhere and took out the strongest peerage in the underworld with ease. She had heard that Rias and her peerage had some special feelings for him even though they were still very young. It was really common that adult female devils are always attracted to powerful males, and she wasn't an exception. She could see that when Naruto finally grows up, he will be very handsome and attractive, not to mention very powerful with Sirzechs' training, and could become an ultimate class devil in no time. Just a few years and she might have to get out this of childlike form and return to her true age to seduce him. Unconsciously, Sairaorg licked her lips at the thought. Sarah-chan, Sarah-chan. Naruto called her out loud while clicking his fingers in front of her, pulling her out of her dream. Thank you, but I have to go now. Sairaorg looked around, only to see that she had created an ice wall on both sides of the corridor to prevent him getting out. She let a small giggle out and snapped her fingers, letting the ice slowly melt down. Naruto looked at her and smiled. Thank you, Sarah-chan, see you later. Naruto decided it was time to return to the castle. Rias was probably home and he didn't want to upset her because they had planned to do a lot of things together. As soon as Naruto reached the gate, he felt someone's arms were linked with his and turned around only to come face to face with Sairaorg, who was looking at him with her big violet eyes. Sarah-chan, what are you doing? While he doesn't mind her presence at all, Naruto still was feeling a little nervous, especially when one of the leaders of the underworld had linked her arms with his. The people that passed by the castle recognized Sairaorg and thought the kid she was walking with really cute and lucky. Mao Naruto-chan, I want to escort you to the train station. You will let me, won't you? Said Sairaorg while small tears were appearing at the corner of her eyes. Of course, Sarah-chan, please don't cry, said Naruto, panicking. A girl crying was something he didn't want to face ever again. He had learned it the hard way when he forgot Rias' birthday last year. The girl had cried all day and acted like she didn't know him or didn't even acknowledge his presence when they were together in the same room. Naruto felt like he was in hell when it happened, which was quite ironic if you think about it. Well then, let's go, the mouse said out loudly with excitement in her voice, completely forgetting about her sister, who happened to just arrive at home and was wondering where her immature sister was. Naruto and Sairaorg began to walk through the street of the city heading to the nearest station. When the magical Mao had asked him why he didn't use the teleportation spell for faster transport, he had told her the truth about his magical energy, and the girl kind of felt sorry for him. Usually low-class devils couldn't teleport because they had little magical power, but in Naruto's case it was the opposite. His magical power was so large and uncontrollable that he would just overcharge the seal. After Naruto got in the train, he could see that some children began to gather around Sairaorg asking for her photograph. Even though with so many people around her, she still managed to send him a wink and a smile when the train began to move. Naruto thought that even with her immature personality, Sairaorg was just a free spirit, someone who would do whatever she wanted. Checking the clock, Naruto's eyes widened slightly. It was already very late, and Rias was probably at home right now and looking everywhere for him. With no other choice, he decided to try and teleport himself to the castle. He had put a kunai in the castle just in case of emergencies, but to use it at such a long distance was gonna be really hard for him. Sometimes Naruto couldn't understand his magical reserve at all. People always said that he had an enormous reserve and he hardly felt exhaustion when he used his magic with little to no rest, but when he used his own magic, the magic that he was born with, he always felt more tired than when using the magic he learned from McGregor. Sometimes, when Naruto uses his magic, he can feel that the energy is slightly different from the energy he uses for normal devil magic. Once he reached his final destination, Naruto took a deep breath, preparing himself for what was next to come. Rias. As soon as he opened the main door, he was met with a very angry Rias. He was really in trouble now. Where have you been? Rias said slowly but dangerously. Her crimson aura began to appear around her, and that's what made him worry. If she tried to be angry, the aura won't appear, but when she really was pissed, the aura could be seen by naked eyes. I was delivering a message for your father, he answered her as calm as he could. Really? Rias asked him with an eyebrow raise, but when she saw his truthful face, she smiled to him and said excitedly, okay, let's play Naruto. He nodded with a smile and quickly followed her while he felt a little drained by using his technique, but then again watching her smile would make everything worth it. A month later. Naruto-kun, I'm home. Rias blushed slightly at the way she had just said those words. It made her and Naruto look like a married couple, even though the idea always made her happy. What are you doing? She asked, looking at Naruto, who had a lot of his tri-pronged kunai on the table. He was wearing a crimson bracelet in his hand and another one that looked exactly like it was on the table. Ah, welcome home, Rias-chan. Naruto stood up and took the bracelet with him. This is for you, Rias-chan. He handed the bracelet to her with a smile on his face, making Rias blush brightly. Really? Rias asked with excitement, and put it on her wrist and found it fitted her perfectly. While it was nothing special, she felt really happy that Naruto had gotten her a bracelet just like his. It made them look even more like a couple than before, but I hope this won't be my birthday present, she said with a slight glare. She still hadn't forgave him about forgetting her birthday. It's true that she didn't told him that it was her birthday that day, but how could he not recognize the atmosphere around the castle that day? Don't worry, Rias-chan. Naruto smiled to her now. I need you to do me a favor, and nodded from the crimson-haired girl. I need you to go outside and go wherever you want, then channel your demonic power to the bracelet. Okay. Rias nodded her head and head out of the room, a little curious about what would happen if she channeled her energy into the bracelet. When she arrived at the garden, she began to channel her energy into the bracelet and saw it shone a little. Hello, Rias-chan, said Naruto from behind her. Rias gasped out loudly and jumped into the air, but she quickly regained her composure and turned around, only to be face to face with Naruto. Now wait, how? Rias asked with a frown on her face while pointing at the castle and then at Naruto. She didn't felt anyone around her at all. The training with her brother had helped her sense others better, so now she could prepare herself if someone wanted to surprise her from behind. Naruto chuckled and took her wrist and pointed to the bracelet. This bracelet, Rias-chan, works exactly like my tri-pronged kunai. It has a mark that helps me teleport to you whenever I want. Rias' eyes widened in surprise at this, but I had put something extra into the bracelet. Whenever you are in danger or want me here with you, just channel your energy into the bracelet. Naruto then pointed to his own, and this will alert me immediately, and I will be by your side before you know it. Naruto finished with a smile but quickly fell to the ground because Rias had jumped on him and hugged him tightly. Thank you, Naruto-kun, thank you! Rias cried out happily. This bracelet may be the best gift Naruto had ever given to her. With this, he would always know where she is and could always come to her whenever she need him. Yufufu, the couple's having it bad again. The usual giggle of Akeno made Naruto's and Rias's eyes open wide, and both of them quickly stood up. Rias's queen was standing in front of them with a hand covered her mouth to hide her giggle. Akeno! Rias groaned out. Well, looks like you finally got yourself a very useful artifact, isn't it, Rias-sama? Akeno, beginning to make her way to the blonde-haired boy and snaked her arms around his neck, she whispered seductively in his ear, but also loud enough so her king could hear. It's good to see you, Naruto-sama. You know you had spent a lot of time with Rias-sama lately, and I'm sure you're probably bored of her, and would want to spend time with someone more mature than her, don't you think, Naruto-sama? Naruto gulped nervously. Akeno had been really forward with him lately. The girl always found some way to tease him and Rias. His best friend had told him that her queen had a sadistic personality, and it would get really dangerous when she grew up. Akeno had refused to call him Naruto no matter what he tried, always called him Naruto-sama because she didn't mind being dominated by him, or under his authority. Akeno even tried to sneak into his room to sleep with him and Rias before, only to be kicked out by a very angry Rias, and after that he could hear Akeno's lightning magic attack boomed outside of the room together with Rias's power of destruction. Rias looked at Akeno with her aura flaring out of her body. The fact that Akeno always called her crush Naruto-sama always pissed her off. And no matter how much time had passed, Rias's body could never match Akeno's. Her breast size was always bigger than her, and her queen's hip were much wider than Rias. The crimson-haired princess was very proud about her body, but whenever she looked at Akeno, she always wanted to take that fallen angel blood away from the girl. Rias had heard some boys at her school talk about Akeno. While they had accepted that Rias was the most beautiful and cutest girl at school, they also said that Akeno was the sexiest. The thought about her queen taking Naruto away from her made Rias's anger built up slowly inside her. Maybe she hadn't educated her servants hard enough. Akeno, Rias said sweetly, followed me please. Oh, why should I? She began to rub her body against Naruto, his face reddening at the contact. He could feel her rapidly developing breasts rub against his right arm. I'm sure he wants me to stay with him, isn't that right, Naruto-sama? Seeing Rias gave him an evil glare, Naruto gulped again and turned to the dreaming face of Akeno. Akeno-chan, you should follow Rias, she might need you or something. Your wish is my command, Naruto-sama. Akeno nodded her head and turned to Rias with a sadistic smile. Well then, Rias-sama, I think we should settle the final score. And beginning to show her own aura, which is yellow in color but also had lightning cracking around her body. Come with me then. The two girls said goodbye to Naruto and walked away while glaring at each other. Naruto just stood there in silence, watching the king and her queen going inside the castle with the most terrifying aura they could create. When they had finally gone away, Naruto suddenly felt a slight movement behind him. You know, Nico-chan, you don't have to hide when you want to see me. Naruto said with a smile, and sat down to the ground while leaning his back to the tree behind him. Slowly, the little white-haired girl made her presence known and sat down onto his lap with her back facing him. Why didn't you come out? You know you can sit on my lap anytime you want. Those two angry, she said curtly and pressed her back into his chest more. Naruto smiled and beginning to rub her head, making the girl purr and press her head against his hand more. Kaneko Tuju, the normally quiet girl, had taken a liking to the blonde-haired boy. Outside of Rias her king, Naruto was the one person she spent her time with. From Sirzechs' information, Kaneko was a Nikomati Yukai, and the girl felt attracted to him because of the natural energy inside him. She always wants to sit on Naruto's lap, saying that she always feels more energy this way and it's kind of like her old self, a Nekishu. While Naruto didn't know what had happened to the girl that made her rejected her Nekishu's side, he also didn't want to nose around her personal life and decided to let the girl tell him when she wanted to. Naruto was beginning to gather the energy around him for the girl on his lap, making her sigh happily. Her ears nearly popped out on top of her head, but Kaneko quickly regained herself and made her ears return to where it should be. Kaneko had said that she could smell various essences coming from him, 10 essences in total, but when Naruto gathered the natural energy, the essence of Toad became the strongest. Naruto just sat there gathering the energy for the girl to enjoy the great feeling of nature, till nightfall. 1 year later. A 14-year-old Naruto was walking around the garden of the Gremmery's castle, deep in thought. In his hand was some kind of mission that Sirzechs had assigned specially for him, and said only he could do this mission. He didn't know why it was him that should do it, but when Rias found out about the mission, she had forbidden him to go and locked herself in her room when her brother said it had be him, or the mission would fail and endanger the world of the devils. Right now, the bracelet on his wrist was shining with a crimson light, which means Rias is calling for him. But Naruto had to refuse her this time, or she won't let him go. The mission is pretty simple but dangerous at the same time. Basically, he had to escort Ajuka, Sirzechs' best friend and the current Beelzebub, the one who invented the evil peace system and a lot of powerful artifacts for the devil world, to heaven for some business with the seraph angels there. Sirzechs chose Naruto for this mission because he was still a young devil, and the angels wouldn't think much about him as a threat, so he could go and make sure one of their enemies didn't do something stupid and start in another great war. And that's why Rias was worried. Even her parents didn't think it was a good idea. Naruto was still too young to go to their enemy's territory. But Naruto knew why Sirzechs believed in him. Only super ultimate class devil could go to heaven without being affected by the light there. The monstrous energy inside him could protect him from the light, not to mention his super healing factor could protect him against the light, even if it burns him. Well, it was kind of scary really. He knew that devil's greatest weakness was light-based magic of angels and fallen angels, and he had heard that heavens was filled with light because God had created never-ending light for the angels. So basically his devil's skin would be in contact with the light 24/7 if he was there. But first, he need to go to the Phoenix family to take a box full of Phoenix tears. It would be a gift for the angels to prove that the devil faction come in peace. Naruto didn't like the children of Phoenix clan, because as far as he knew, Rias was engaged to the third oldest son of the Phoenix, an act to create a new bloodline, to help the higher class society grow stronger. What angered Naruto the most was that Riser Phoenix didn't care about love. He only thinks about Rias as a breeding stock, someone that will give him strong children. He likes Rias and wants her to be happy. And if Riser doesn't change the way he is in the future, he might put beat sense into him, no matter the cost to himself. However, he was a really good friend with Revel Phoenix and respected his power deeply. Revel was kind, unlike his arrogant brother Riser Phoenix. Also, he found that Lord and Lady Phoenix were very kind to him, and they had the same loving aura like Rias's parents. But he still hadn't forgiven them for forcing Rias into something against her will. If his guess was right, Riser wasn't home around this time. Naruto didn't want to see the smirk on his face when he talked about Rias whenever Naruto was around like a piece of meat. The last time they met was around 4 months ago. It took both Beowulf and Sir II to hold him back before he could punch off that arrogant smile from his face. But then again, no one liked that guy anyway. If Sirzechs had told them about Naruto's status in his peerage, maybe he could make Riser shut up for a few minutes because as far as he knew, he and his sister Revel Phoenix saw him as a lucky low-class devil who happened to attend a high-class party. Using his power, Naruto appeared in a flash of yellow right in front of the Phoenix Castle's gate. He could see the castle was as elegant as he remembered. Stepping inside the castle with his calmest face that he could muster, Naruto began to walk into the castle after stating his intention to the guard. He saw a young girl was waiting for him, her blonde drill-like curls hair easy to recognize. It was Revel Phoenix, the youngest daughter of the Phoenix clan, who behaved like a true noble lady. Revel is a young girl around Kaneko's age with long blonde hair and dark blue eyes. Her hair is tied in twin ponytails with large, drill-like curls and a blue ribbon keeping them in place. The front of her hair has several bangs hanging over her forehead with a V-shaped fringe hanging over the bridge of her nose. Her outfit consists of a light white dress with a dark yellow accents and a red bow at the front. At the back, 3 feather-like extensions mimicking a bird's tail protrude from the dress, making it look kind of cute. But this was the girl had kicked him in the leg and screaming that a servant should go outside. Maybe that was his fault for not wearing his normal clothes like the rest of Sirzechs' peerage, but she didn't need to shout like that. "Well, hello there, Ravel. Hope you're doing well," Naruto said with a smile when he passed her and continued walking to the main room, where Lady Phoenix was waiting for him with the phoenix tears. "Naruto-sama, wait!" Ravel yelled, making Naruto stop in his track. Did Ravel, a high, noble lady of the Phoenix clan, just called him Naruto-sama? Ravel tried to run as fast as she could with her short legs, and stopped when she was right in front of him. She bowed as low as she could and started telling him what she always wanted to say all these months ago. "Naruto-sama, I'm really sorry for my stupid behavior at the party 10 months ago. I shouldn't have shouted at you or to think you're just a lowly servant like that. I'm really sorry, Naruto-sama, and ready to take any punishment you want me to." Ravel, no need to bow like that." Naruto put a hand to her shoulder and smiled when she lifted her head up and looked at him with her dark blue eyes. "I'm not angry at you or anything, really." "Thank you, Naruto-sama." The girl smiled brightly and stood up. "If you don't want to punish me, then please follow me. My Ka-sama has assigned me to lead you to the main room." "Then please lead the way, Ravel." Naruto smiled and followed the girl. When they had passed 3 alleys, Naruto broke the silence. "So, Ravel, why did you call me Naruto-sama?" She began to look around, making sure they were alone. "My Ka-sama had told me about your status as a pawn of Lucifer-sama. Anyone from the peerages of the Mao had the same, or even higher status with the high-class devil like me. So it was pretty normal that I should respect you, Naruto-sama," she said to him as low as possible. "Wait, how did you?" She put a finger to his lips and smiled. "Don't worry, Naruto-sama." Ravel smiled and continued to lead the way. "My Ka-sama trusted only myself with this information. After all, you should feel lucky that a noble lady like me showed a good amount of respect to you, Naruto-sama." She begins to laugh, the same kind of laugh that a high-class lady always laughed in some of Rias's anime. But her smile became lower and lower, until she stops and looked at him with a worried look on her face. "Naruto-sama, is it true that you're going to heaven?" "Yeah, it's pretty scary, isn't it?" Naruto smiled nervously and scratched the back of his head. Revel looked at Naruto in surprise. If this mission was assigned to any normal devil, they would be running away before they knew what they had to do. That day 10 months ago, when the party of her family was finally finished, her mother had explained to her about Naruto's status as a member of Sirzechs Lucifer's peerage, and to say she was terrified when she found out the truth was an understatement. Her pride as a daughter of the Phoenix clan got the better of her, and made Revel acted without thinking. Her mother had said to Revel that she had brought great shame to her family, and if Naruto wanted to punish her for her stupid action, then she should be gladly accept that. Even if he wanted her to be banished from her family. The thought truly terrified the blonde. She was really surprised when he said that he wasn't angry at her. Naruto was truly kind, warm and forgiving. She blushed a little when she used to think what would happen if he wanted her to be a part of his peerage when he became a high-class devil. Her mother had planned trading Revel out of her brother's peerage if Naruto ever wanted her. While she doesn't mind being with someone like Naruto, the thought of what could happen if Naruto was a crazy pervert truly scared her. She might not look like it because her pride usually didn't allow Revel, but she still cared for his well-being when she heard that he was going to escort Ajuka Beelzebub to heaven and help him do some business there. It was just her nature that she came to care about him. "Naruto-sama." She put her hand into her pocket and pulled out a small phoenix's tear bottle. It wasn't just any original phoenix's tears. It was her tears, the tears of a full-blood phoenix, the tear that could heal the worst wound with just a drop. Revel had collected these tears since she was a small child and would give it to someone important to her, just like her mother had given her tears to her father when they were young. "Please take this," said Revel, handing him the bottle. "These are my tears, the tears of a full-blooded phoenix." "Wait, Revel, you don't have to." Naruto tried to refuse her offer. He had heard about the tears of the true phoenix before, and knew they were extremely powerful phoenix's tears that could heal any wound, but also the tears were really important and special for the members of Phoenix clan. When the phoenix gave it to someone, it meant that they had given a part of them to another. To make it short, it was like Revel was proposing to Naruto. "Don't worry, Naruto-sama." She took his hand and put the bottle into his palm. "It's just this is the best I could do for you after that party. I know you don't want me to, but I want you to have this, to make sure you will be safe when you're there. I'm sure Rias-sama wants the same thing to you, so please accept it, for me." "Revel." Naruto suddenly hugged the smaller girl, making her eyes turn wide in surprise and her cheeks redden. "Thank you, Revel. I will respect your tears, so thank you." He was really grateful that Revel had given him her tears, the most important thing to her. With her tears, Naruto felt more assured about this mission than before, knowing that if he badly injured Her tears might help him have a second chance. He guessed the only daughter of the Phoenix clan wasn't just a prideful lady. Naruto-sama, please release me. She tried to shrug out of his hug but failed as he was a lot stronger than her. Ravel's heart was beating so fast that she found it hard to breathe. If he continued to hug her like this, she might just faint. Oh, sorry. Naruto grinned and released her. The girl turned around to hide her blushing face. But thank you again, Revel. If you want any help, feel free to ask me. Oh, of course, after all, you should feel lucky that you have the tears of Phoenix, especially mine. Naruto just chuckled at her. He really did feel lucky right now. It was not every day that someone like him, high status or not, could get the tears of the daughter of Phoenix. With that, Naruto and Ravel just walk in silence in their short journey, the young blonde being too embarrassed to say anything to him. Finally, Naruto arrives at the main room of the castle, where an older version of Ravel was waiting for him with an elegant box with the Phoenix's crest on it. Lady Phoenix looked at Naruto and smiled. She only knew the blonde boy for a short time, but she found him really different, and judging from her eldest son's information when he befriended the boy, Naruto was an orphan and started his life on the streets. Maybe that's why his personality was so different than the normal children his age. Lady Phoenix. Naruto bowed. Naruto-san, no need to be formal. After all, she looked Ravel, who was trying to avoid her mother's gaze. My daughter had wounded your pride and embarrassed you in front of everyone. Ah, no need to worry, my lady. Naruto grinned and patted Ravel on her shoulder. I'm not angry or anything, just a little surprised that you had told Ravel about me, that's all. I know, Naruto-san. The information about your Lucifer-sama's last pawn was top secret, and only the highest class devil know about it. Lady Phoenix then looked at her daughter and motioned her hand for the girl come near her. Ravel did as what she had been told and came near her mother. I told only my daughter, she might be young but she's very intelligent, and would definitely make a good wife. I can see that. Naruto nodded his head. Ravel sure looked just like a wife, just by looking at how she cared for his well-being. So, Naruto-san. Lady Phoenix handed him the box. Here are all the things you need for the angels. It contains 20 bottles of Phoenix tears inside. I think it would be enough for the angel to recognize our goodwill. I hope so. Naruto smiled and took the box and checked the clock. It's almost the time that Ijuka came to the Gremry Castle and he need to be there now. Oh, it's almost time. Goodbye, Lady Phoenix. Thank you for the tears. See you later, Revel. Good luck, Naruto-san. Good luck, Naruto-sama, and see you later. Naruto nodded his head and disappeared in a yellow flash. Revel just stared to the spot Naruto was standing a few seconds ago with a dreamy look on her face. Now she knew why the maids at her castle always talked about Naruto and how kind and handsome he is. A few of them even planned quitting their job at her house and moved to the Gremry Castle, just to look at him. Revel, what do you think about him? He's kind, Ka-sama, Revel said, and warm too. Did you give Naruto-san your tears? Her mother asked with a stern voice. Yes, Ka-sama. He didn't reject you? No, he didn't. Good, now I think I don't need to worry about boys chasing after my little daughter when she grows up anymore. She said with a mysterious smirk. Now, what should I name my grandchildren, Kei-sama, it's not like that. Naruto arrived at the garden of the Gremry Castle instantly, and saw that everyone was there, even Rias and her Peerage were waiting for him. He could see Ijuka Beelzebub, Sirzechs' best friend, chatting with Sirzechs at the corner of the garden. Ah, Naruto-kun. Sirzechs set out smiling when he saw Naruto. Mission accomplished, I hope. Yes, Sirzechs-san, the tears are here. Naruto nodded and handed him the box. Brilliant, Naruto-kun, now I think it's time to go. Ijuka grinned brightly and come to stand next to him. A white magic circle appeared under their feet. Naruto looked up at Ijuka in confusion. Don't worry. With my help, you will be able to use this magic. Don't be worried about appearing in the wrong place. Protect him, will you? Sirzechs glared at his best friend. All right. Ijuka laughed. Don't worry about it. Be careful up there, Naruto-kun. Sirzechs said seriously to Naruto. I want to come with you, but 2 mouths would be too much for them, and we don't want to start a new war with them at all. Don't worry, Sirzechs-san. Naruto smiled. Naruto looked at his wrist, and saw that it was shining. He turned his head and saw that Rias was trying to put as much energy as she could into her own bracelet. He walked up to her, and put a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, Rias-chan, remembered what I tell you about this bracelet? Rias nodded her head and looked up. I will be by your side before you know it. All you have to do is put your magical energy to the bracelet, and I will be there for you. Promise? She asked and smiled a little. Rias brought out her pinky finger and showed it to him. Even though Rias and Naruto weren't children anymore, but the pinky promise had become something important to both of them. It's always reminded them about the day they met each other, that you will come back to me? Promise. Naruto grinned and locked his pinky with her. Come on, Rias. It's just a 1-month mission, nothing to worry about. Naruto-kun, when you get back, I want you to attend high school with me next month. Otosama will let Ko Academy become a co-ed school. I want you to be there with me, to enjoy high school together. Naruto looked at Lord Gremory, and saw that he was smiling. Naruto grinned brightly and nodded his head. Ko Academy was still an all-girls school at the moment. But if Lord Gremory changed it to co-ed, then he could attend it with everyone, included Akeno and Kaneko when she was old enough. Okay, Rias-chan, I will attend Ko with you. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Rias hugged him tightly. When Naruto had said goodbye to everyone and got a kiss to the cheek from Akeno, much to everyone's shock and an enraged Rias, Kaneko had given to him a small white cat toy which was her favorite toy in order to give him luck for this mission. Sirzechs' Peerage had planned to open a farewell and good luck party for Naruto, but the plan was quickly put to end by Graia, so all of them just shook Naruto's hand and wished him good luck. Rias' parents wanted Naruto to take good care of himself when he was up there. He didn't know why, but he had a feeling that he won't see them again anytime soon. Goodbye everyone, see you later. Ajuka put his hand onto Naruto's shoulder and activated the magic circle. The last thing he saw before everything turning completely white was Rias smiling to him. Because we were traveling into different territory, it might take a few minutes for the angels to open the gate for us. Ajuka said to Naruto and looked at him. So Naruto-kun, what did you feel when you become Sirzechs' pawns? Good, I hope. Of course, Ajuka-san. Naruto smiled and then frowned. He has always wanted to ask Ajuka this question. Ajuka-san, I want to ask you a question. Go on. Well, do you think 5 pawns were a bit too much for me? Naruto asked. Ajuka turned to Naruto with a surprised look on his face. I mean, Enku-sen used 1 pawn, Beowulf and Ai-sama used 2 pawns. Do you think I used too much? Well, Naruto-kun, you know that Sirzechs' evil pieces are really strong, right? He got a nod from the blonde boy. It's the first type of evil pieces I had created, the prototype evil pieces. I was still young and inexperienced back then, so I had created 4 sets of them, prototypes without the limitation. So it only accepted the strongest and turned them into devils or let someone become the king's servant. When the war was over, I had created the 2nd generation evil pieces that could accept anyone. I'm the creator, yet sometimes even I don't understand how it works sometimes. But let me tell you the truth, Naruto-kun, your evil pieces, all 5 of them were mutation pieces. Naruto's mouth dropped to the ground in shock. If all 5 of his pieces were mutation pieces, then that meant you are worth more than only 5 pawns, Naruto-kun, remember that. Naruto opened his eyes again when he felt a funny feeling on his skin and realized they finally arrived in heaven, territory of the angels. Naruto looked around and gasped in awe. Heaven was truly a paradise. Naruto had heard about some places in the world that couldn't be described by words alone, and heaven was definitely one of them. Everywhere was filled with sunlight, and the castle up here was so beautiful. Up in the sky, some angels were flying with a smile on their face. This place was truly amazing. Welcome to heaven, Ajuka-sama. A soft voice pulled Naruto back from his observations though, and he nearly dropped his mouth in shock. Standing before him and Ajuka was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen in his life. She had curly blonde hair and a voluptuous figure. She was wearing a long dress made of some sort of light material. However, it showed a lot of her large bosom, making Naruto nearly have a nosebleed at her charm and beauty. Gabriel, it's good to see you. Ajuka smiled to her. And who is this young man? Gabriel asked with a kind voice when she looked at Naruto, and nearly gasped in shock. Even though she knew this boy was a devil, she could feel his heart and soul were pure, very pure. There was no such thing called hatred or negative emotions in his heart. She had never met a devil like him before. Even some of the humans who followed God's teachings didn't have a soul or heart like him. Oh my! Gabriel felt her cheeks redden a little when she continued to enjoy the pure feeling of his heart. This young man's name is Naruto Uzumaki, a member of Sirzechs Lucifer's Peerage. Gabriel's eyes turned wide at the information. She had fought the current Lucifer's servant before and understood their power, but to think that this boy, no older than 15, could be a member of the strongest peerage in the underworld. It's a pleasure to meet you, Gabriel-san. Naruto smiled and offered his hand to her. Gabriel looked at the boy with curiosity in her eyes and finally took his hand into her own. The feeling was truly amazing. Naruto-sama. Again with the sama thing, thought Naruto. Gabriel flashed him a smile. The pleasure is mine, Naruto-sama. I hope we could get to know each other better while you are staying here. Ajuka looked at the nervous Naruto and a blushing Gabriel and smirked. Sirzechs had been right when his best friend wanted Naruto to escort him here. His monstrous energy and the healing factor weren't the only reasons he was brought here. The main reason was because of his heart and soul, his truly pure heart and soul. If even the most powerful angelic beings are attracted to him like this, then Ajuka didn't need to be worried about his work here. Gabriel-san, if you don't mind, Naruto said out suddenly and motioned his head to their hands. Gabriel looked at his hand and quickly released it. Oh, I'm sorry. The beautiful angel laughed innocently and looked at Ajuka. Ajuka-sama, please follow me, my brother is waiting for you. Ajuka nodded and flared out his wings, Naruto quickly doing the same. Gabriel smiled and flared out her 10 white wings and shot up to the sky. The two devils quickly followed the blonde angel, drawing a lot of attention from the angels around them. When they arrived at the big building, Naruto had to wait outside while Gabriel led Ajuka inside to meet with her brother, the leader of the angels, Michael. A minute later, Gabriel came out and sat down at the bench Naruto was sitting. It is beautiful, isn't it? Gabriel asked when she saw the look on Naruto's face when he looked around. Yeah, in all my life, this is the first time I have ever seen something like this. Naruto nodded his head. Heaven was truly amazing, he couldn't use words to describe it. Gabriel looked at the blonde boy with a curious look on her face and decided to stay silent for the time being and let him enjoy the beauty of heaven. After all, she has a lot of time to get to know him. But then, after a while, Naruto turned his head when he heard Ajuka's footstep behind him and turned around facing a wide-eyed Ajuka. Naruto-kun, I think we have a new problem here. What happened? Naruto stood up, but Gabriel was still sitting on the bench with a sad look on her face. We have to stay here longer than I thought. How long, Ajuka-san? Naruto asked suddenly. The crimson bracelet suddenly became tighter around his wrist. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years. A shocked look appeared on Naruto's face. The situation has changed now. Rias was going to kill him. But why? Because Naruto-kun, God, he's dead. 2 years later. Ko Academy, one of the best high schools in Japan, the school that every student wanted to be a part of. Modern equipment, good teachers, high-quality input, not to mention it used to be an all-girls school 2 years ago, so the number of female students in the school is still too big compared to the number of male students. To tell the story short, a paradise for perverts. But put it aside, this place could be called the best school in Japan. Kaya! It's Kiba-kun. Kiba-kun, please look at me. Kiba-kun, we love you! A crowd full of high school girls screamed out in excitement when a handsome young man with short blonde hair, gray eyes and a mole under his left eye stepped past the gate and walked into the school and flashed the girl a charming smile. He wears the Ko Academy boys' school uniform, which consists of a black blazer with white accents over a white, long-sleeved dress shirt with a black ribbon on the collar, matching black pants, and brown dress shoes. This is Yuto Kiba, second-year students, the most handsome boy at Ko Academy, and the dream of many girls. However, while he was adored by female students, he also was hated by other male students. Damn it, Casanova, go to hell. It was a common thing in Ko Academy that every morning Kiba would come to school and being greeted by excited high school girls, while being hated and glared by the high school boys. But he had got used to it somehow because being a pretty boy had its downside. But the next group step into the school right behind Kiba instantly made every single male stare at them with heart in their eyes while a few have their mouth opened wide and was drooling. Even the girl was exciting as well, at all they are the school idols. The first one is a petite girl around 15 years of age with white hair and hazel eyes. At the front, her hair has 2 long bangs going past her shoulders and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back has a short bob cut. She also wears a black cat-shaped hair clip on both sides of her hair. She wears the Ko Academy girls' school uniform, which consists of a white long-sleeved, button-down shirt with vertical linings, a black ribbon on the collar, a black shoulder cape and matching button-down corset, and a magenta skirt with white accents. However, the white-haired girl was wearing the uniform without the shoulder cape. This girl's name is Kaneko Tuju, first-year student, Koa's tiny, cute mascot. Kaneko kept on walking with a straight face, ignoring all the lustful stares from the lolicon perverts and head to the old school building. The next girl walked into the school and followed behind Kaneko was Himejima Akeno, third-year student, the second most beautiful girls in Ko Academy and one of the 2 great Onisama. Akeno is a young woman with a buxom figure with very long black hair and violet eyes. Her hair is usually tied in a long ponytail, reaching all the way down to her legs with 2 strands sticking out from the top and sloping backwards, with an orange ribbon keeping it in place. Like most of the girls at Ko Academy, she wears the customary Ko Academy girls' school uniform, along with black knee-high socks. She was the second-place idols in the hearts of every student at Ko, males and females alike. She was a true kind, elegant and gentle girl. The next girl stepped inside the school made all the students roars with excitement. She is a third-year student at Ko Academy, the president of the Occult Research Club, and the school's #1 beauty as well as one of Ko Academy's 2 great Onisama. Her name is Rias. Rias is a young woman who appears to be in her late teens with light skin, blue-green eyes and a buxom figure. Her most distinctive feature is her long, crimson-red thigh-length hair, with a single hair strand sticking out from the top. Her hair also has loose bangs covering her forehead and side bangs framing her face. She was wearing the Ko Academy girls' school uniform, which consists of a white long-sleeved, button-down shirt, with a black ribbon on her shirt collar worn under a black shoulder cape and a matching button-down corset, a magenta skirt with white accents, and brown dress shoes over white crew-length socks. Rias continued walking with her friends to the old school building and ignored the cat-called the boys and the admiring glances of the girl students like every day. What they didn't see was a glint of crimson from the bracelet around her wrist, which was hidden carefully under her selves, the bracelet which she had wanted to throw away long ago, so she would never have to look at it, but found herself couldn't do such thing. She wanted to hate him, to forget about him because he had broken their promise, but she couldn't, no matter how she had tried. Bucho Akeno called out to her and showed Rias the documents her master had assigned her to find. I have found everything you need about that Amano Yuma. Rias nodded her head and picked up the document. Her real name is Rainer, a fallen angel, Akeno said with disgust in her voice. I don't know about her true intention here, but I'm afraid that it won't be a good one. I guess so. She then turned to Kaneko, who was eating a small piece of cake next to her. Kaneko-chan, could I just you with this task? The quiet white-haired girl nodded her head, her face still didn't show any emotion. Kiba opened the club room door and walked inside with a smile on his face. Bucho, I have checked everything, the spell around our club room isn't broken. So, we aren't this fallen angel target. Rias nodded her head. In 2 years here, she and her peerage had been targeted a lot of time by the fallen angels. They always found some way to bring trouble to her, and always wanted to finish the devils currently in her territory. But this time, it seems that this Rainer girl didn't want her or her peerage's heads, and it seems that it wasn't her rival Son either. Akeno cursed out. A fallen angel was running around in Ko Academy, and she couldn't do anything about it until they found out her true intention and if she had backup or not. Akeno hates them, she hates the fallen angel, even though she was one of them, but Akeno doesn't care, as long as she could kill them, she will be satisfied. The queen looked at her king and frowned. Around this time Rias had stopped crying about him, but her eyes always filled with sadness when she was alone or with her peerage. Akeno still remembered that day, when Rias found out Naruto couldn't attend Ko with them. Her master had cried, still she passed out and hadn't eaten anything the next few days. She remembered Rias had put every magical energy she got into the bracelet, hoping that he will appear right beside her, but the angel had blocked the gate between them so Naruto couldn't teleport back to her king. The angel afraid he will tell the devil about their secret and lock Ajuka and Naruto on heaven until they finished their mission there. Akeno had remembered the day Rias pulled the crimson bracelet out of her wrist and threw it away with tears-filled eyes. Akeno knew that Rias was hurt and felt betrayed, but Naruto was facing a dangerous mission and Akeno could understand his reason. But Rias was still stubborn about that. She claimed Naruto had grown bored of her and didn't want to be her friend anymore. Even though Rias had thrown the bracelet away a lot of times, she still went out at night and tried to find it and put it back to her wrist, hoping that Naruto will come back to her. But 2 years had passed since that day, and Rias only have 1 year left at Ko. Akeno sighed and walked up to the window and looked up to the sky in wonder. Naruto-sama, what are you doing right now? When lunchtime came, Rias took out her bento she had prepared herself and sat down on a bench in the schoolyard and began to enjoy it. The students happened to sit near her or passed by looking at her with hearts in their eyes. Rias sometimes found herself really enjoyed it. They stared from the boys and girls have proved that she was no longer the cute girl 2 years ago. Now she was a beautiful third-year student of Ko Academy, the #1 beauty. But Rias always found her school life was missing something, and knew exactly what it is. She touched the bracelet on her left hand lightly and looked at it with sad eyes. It had been 2 years and Naruto hadn't come back to her, and she hated him for that. Her parents had said that Naruto had an important mission with the Juka and couldn't come back anytime soon. But she refused to forgive him, because he could refuse to do that mission from the beginning, yet he still accepted it to find some way to stay away from her, stay away from the love-struck girl who always followed him like a lost puppy seeking for his attention. That asshole showed his true face, so she won't be fooled again with that charming, the kindness, and the time they have spent together. Rias though. But no matter how she tried, no matter how she blamed him for her sadness, she still wants him to come back, still want him to return to her. Naruto-kun. Rias looked up to the sky and smiled sadly. Please come back to me, to us. Heaven, the same time. Ha ha ha, Naruto-senpai, please tell me that you are tired. A young man with blonde hair, green eyes and dressed in priest clothes was breathing hard while facing his opponent. He has 10 pure white wings sticking out behind his back, which are the symbol of his power. This young man's name is Delio Gesualdo, Michael's Joker and the strongest exorcist. Well, I think it was enough for today, Delio. His opponent grinned, making the blonde-hair exorcist screamed out in excitement, and fell face first to the ground. His sacred gear disappeared instantly. Naruto Uzumaki chuckled at the lazy angel and slowly making his way to Delio and help him get back on his feet. I'm off, senpai. Delio smiled and waved to Naruto when he returned back to his place. Naruto could see the reincarnated angel was really tired. Maybe he had gone a little too hard on him today. 2 years have passed since Naruto began his life in heaven. Gone was the blonde-haired boy kid, and now stood in his place was a young man at 6 feet 1 inch. His hair became longer than 2 years ago and as spiky as always. While the baby fat on his face had completely disappeared, his whisker marks were still there, but very hard to see if you don't look closer. Naruto was wearing a pure white clothes consist of a white t-shirt, white paint and white sandals, the same types of clothing the angel usually wears while they was in heaven. 2 years ago, with the shocking news about God had been dead in the Great War, the angels had forbidden him from returning to the underworld, because they were afraid Naruto would reveal the secret for the underworld and another great war will start. Naruto could understand why the angels were afraid of that. If another great war start, they would be the first faction that would lose in the war, because their population had dropped in a fast pace after the war. There were too many angels had fallen, and they could do nothing about it. Naruto walked up to the cliff and looked down, wondering what Rias was doing. He had broken their promise, the promise that they will enjoy high school together in the human world. Naruto looked at the bracelet on his wrist. He could remember the days when the bracelet was shining non-stop. Hours after hours Rias had called for him, but the angel had locked the gate from any transportation, prevent him from coming to Rias. Gabriel had said that they will let Ajuka and Naruto come home when the Mao Beelzebub finished his project here, but it had been 2 years already. He didn't know whatever if Rias would forgive him or not. Naruto turned around and began walking through the street of heaven. While being a devil himself, the angels really like him because of his warm personality and based on what Gabriel had said, his heart and soul. Where he passed by, the angel always stopped what they were doing and waved to him with the innocent smile of an angel. Naruto always smiled back to them and greeted the angels that fly past him. Angels were really friendly, but he will be very grateful if they didn't pray in front of him, which always brought him a massive headache whenever one of them prayed. Suddenly, he felt a familiar signature came near him and smiled. She was one of his favorite persons after all. Naruto-sama, wait for me. Gabriel, the most beautiful angel of heaven, flew to Naruto as fast as she could and landed next to him. She just finished a duty her brother had assigned her and returned as quickly as possible to be near Naruto. No matter how much time passed by, she never got bored of the purity of his heart and soul. It always brought warmness to her heart whenever she was near him. Maybe Naruto was a devil and a being that completely opposite from her. Gabriel still didn't mind, as long as she could feel his soul whenever she was with him. Her brother had accepted for Gabriel to be with Naruto whenever she wants. Michael himself was really surprised when he felt Naruto's heart and soul. Ah, Gabriel-chan. He smiled to her. Your mission gone well, I hope? Yes, Naruto-sama. Gabriel nodded her head and flashed him a beautiful smile. I just need to come to a church and give my blessing to a child that will become an exorcist one day. Nothing dangerous. How about your training with Dulio-san? Not pushed him too hard, I hope? Yeah, Naruto scratched the back of his head and smiled nervously. Gabriel giggled a little. She always knows Naruto always pushed the angels that wanted to train with him to the edge and leave them completely exhaustion. Maybe I did it a little too hard this time. Naruto-sama, you should know that not everyone has the same amount of stamina like you. I hope next time you won't leave him too tired like that. Gabriel explained to Naruto. It's true that no one had the same stamina like Naruto. He could fight a whole day without getting tired at all. With the strength and stamina like that, he would fight like a raging storm without worry of tiredness. And he would be unstoppable. And another thing that an angel like Gabriel didn't want to think about, or she would fall immediately. Naruto-sama, would you like to eat lunch with me? Gabriel asked innocently. Try to behave like her normal self as normal as possible. Of course, Gabriel-chan, let's go, Naruto said excitedly. At another building, Ajuka took off the glass in his eyes and smiled at his work. Finally, everything was done and they can return home. 1 week later. Issei smiled lecherously as he remembered the event of the past few days. Maybe it sounds crazy for him, but his life had changed ever since Amano Yuma killed him with her light spear. Everything suddenly turned upside down when everyone didn't remember a thing about her, and it seems that he was the only one remembered. Issei's body had changed a lot since that day. A sudden surge of energy fills his body, which even started to quiver from the adrenaline. Not only that, he felt really strange during the night, the feeling that he never felt before, but when daytime came, the change made him feel sharp pain during the day. Issei is a second-year student at Cho Academy and a member of the school's perverted trio, a trio of the most perverted men in the entire student body. Issei chose Ko Academy because he wanted to create his own harem and become the harem king. But the reality was very cruel to Issei. He isn't popular with the opposite gender. The girls looked at him with hatred in their eyes, and only seen him as the one of the pervert trio. Last night, when he was on his way back home, a man with the same wings as Yuma had thrown another light spear to his stomach and was ready to kill him. The last thing he had remembered was Rias Gremory. The most beautiful girl in his school has saved him and made the man go away, before the darkness finally took him. And then this morning, when he woke up and thought last night was just a dream, he found himself completely naked, and when he looked to his bed and couldn't believe what, or whom he saw sleeping on his bed. Rias Gremory was sleeping on his bed this morning with only her shirt and panties on. And then, when she woke up, she had introduced herself as a devil and his master. While it's still hard to believe, Issei still couldn't forget about the feeling when he fell face first into her heavenly breast. The sight of it alone could make him die in happiness, but touching it with his face, this morning truly a heavenly morning to him. She also opened a few buttons of her shirt and let him see if he wanted. But when she said those words with a little bitter in her voice and her eyes saddened a little, Issei quickly refused, even though he really wanted to see it. All the morning at school Issei had dreamed about Rias's chest and couldn't believe how soft it is. But then again, he knew Rias-senpai was a type of girl never wearing jewelry or wears makeup so she could look better. He could see a glint of crimson around her wrist this morning and thought it was a bracelet or something like that. He would ask her later about it. After all, she had said she would come for him later. Issei was really proud of himself when he was in front of his two best friends, Motohama and Matsuda, because he had seen live breasts this morning, even though it was just a part of it, but it made Rias even sexier in his eyes. And then, Kibayuto, the common enemy every single male student shares, appeared in his classroom with his charming smile as always and asked for him, saying that Rias-senpai sent him there to get Issei and brought them to an old school building, where the Occult Research Club was located. And now, he was standing outside the club room and ready to come inside. Bucho, I have brought him. Kiba knocked on the door and opened it. Issei quickly followed him and comes inside. He looked around the room. There are weird signs and words in every area of the classroom. The floor, the walls, and the ceiling are all covered with weird signs. And in the middle of the classroom, which stands out the most, is the circle drawn at the center of the room. It looks like a magic circle that takes up most of the space in this room. Issei began to feel something creepy and weird about it. There are also a couple of sofas and desks in the room. Issei immediately recognized the girl who was sitting on the sofa eating the yukin quietly. This is Hayate Issei-kun. Kiba introduced Issei to Kaneko. Ah, nice to meet you. Kaneko bows her head. Nice to meet you too. Issei also bow his head. After the greetings, the small white-haired girl continues to eat her yukon. Issei looked at the girl, just like the rumors said. Maybe she is a girl who didn't like to talk much, he thought. Sha. The sound of water flowing, coming from the back of the room, making Issei turn his head in that direction and realize there is a shower curtain at the back of the room. There was also a shadow on the curtain. It's the shadow of a girl. There is a girl taking a shower. This classroom comes with a shower, the pervert thought inside of his head. Kyu. Then there was the sound of the shower stopping. Bucho, take this. And another voice rang out gently. Thank you, Akeno. Issei started to blush when he realized who was behind the curtain, and began to remember what happened this morning. The feeling of Rias's breast was still impaled in his mind, and he really didn't think he would need to watch porn for a while. What a lecherous face. Kaneko said blankly while looking at Issei's reaction. The older boy turned his head to the small girl, but she was just eating her icon and pretended like she didn't say anything. The curtain opened and Rias stepped out with her hair still wet from the bath. The red-haired heiress looked at Issei and smiled. I'm sorry. I couldn't take a shower last night because I stayed the night at your place, so I took a shower now. Issei nodded his head in understanding and looked behind her. His mouth nearly dropped in shock when he recognized who she is. Himejima Akeno, as beautiful as usual with the kind and gentle smile on her face, the one all the student called Yamato Nadeshiko even though she is a student. Akeno looked at Issei and saw the shock looked on his face. She giggles quietly and introduced herself. Era. Hello, my name is Himejima Akeno. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Akeno introduced herself politely with a smile. Her voice sounds fascinating to Issei. Oh. My name is Hayate Issei. And nice to meet you too. He greeted her back nervously. He couldn't think of a day he would talk to the two great one-sama like this. Looks like everyone is here. Hayate Issei. No, let me call you Issei, okay? Rias said to Issei. Why yes. He nodded. We, the Occult Research Club, welcome you. Yes. As a devil. The president of the Occult Research Club welcomes him warmly, making Issei gulped. Here's your tea. Akeno putted a tray of teapot and teacup on the table and poured tea to Issei. Ah, thank you. The pervert was sitting on a sofa, and took the cup from Akeno with his shaking hands and quickly drank it. The taste was really good, the best tea he had ever tasted so far. It tastes good. Era. Thank you very much. Akeno started laughing very happily with her usual gunk. Akeno, you sit over here as well. Rias motioned her hand to the chair next to her. Yes, Bucho. The black-haired queen nodded her head and sat down next to her king. Then everyone looks at the new servant of Rias Gremory, making him extremely nervous. I will get to the point right away. We are all devils. Rias got straight to the point straight away. She didn't want to overwhelm her pawns or anything, she just wanted him to accept what they are, and what he is now, but looked at the expression on his face. She knew that he didn't believe her. Your expression says that you don't believe what I am saying. Well, that can't be helped. You did see the man with black wings last night, didn't you? That's a fallen angel. They are former angels who served God, but they are beings who have fallen to hell because they had evil intentions. They are also the enemy of us devils. Rias stopped a little to look at Issei's reaction. The boy seems to be absorbing her information. We, the devils, have been at war with the fallen angels since ancient times. We have been fighting over the possession of the underworld, which is also known as hell in the human world. The underworld is split into two areas, one for the devils and one for fallen angels. The devils form pacts with humans and receive their sacrifices and increase their strength. The fallen angels, on the other hand, control humans to eliminate the devils. At this point, the angels come in to destroy these two races on God's orders, which created the three forces. This has been going on since ancient times. No, senpai. That kind of story is hard to take in by a normal student like myself. Are this what members of Occult Research Club doing? Issei asked. The Occult Research Club is just a camouflage. It's my hobby. It's actually a gathering place for us devils. Rias shook her head. This place was just a coating she created to hide her peerage, just like Sana, who had the student council behind her back, which actually her own peerage. Amano Yuma, hearing that name from Rias, Issei opened his eyes in shock and wondered where did his master hear that name that day. You were on a date with Amano Yuma, right? If you are joking around, then can you please stop now? I don't want to talk about this here, Issei said with a little anger in his voice. Rose looked at the boy and couldn't blame him. Suddenly woke up and no one remembered that girl except for him. It would be kind of a shock to the normal people. Then again, Rias knew this boy was a super pervert at school. Maybe he too carefree to be stuck in shock. She existed. Rias said that clear to him, making the brown-haired boy's eyes turn wide. Well, it looks like she tried to erase all of the evidence around you. Rias clicked her finger. Akeno took a photo and put it on the table. Issei was speechless after seeing who is in that photo. Who is none other than Amano Yuma. This girl is this is a fallen angel. She's the same kind as the one that attacked you last night. Rias continued. We had tried to find out what her intent was around a week ago, and found out that night when the fallen angel came in contact with you to accomplish a certain goal. After she accomplished it, she got rid of any record and evidence regarding herself. Goal? Yes. To kill you. Issei's mouth dropped in shock. He couldn't believe it. Calm down, Issei. It couldn't be helped. No, you were just unlucky. There are possessors who weren't killed. Rias tried to calm the brown-haired pervert down. This will be harder than she thought it would be. Because this was the first time she changed a human, who completely oblivious to the supernatural world, into a devil, so the explanation had to be as simple as possible. What do you mean, unlucky? Issei asked, and then realized if he was killed that day, how come he was still alive? That day, you went on a date with her and then went to the park, where you were killed with the spear of light. But I'm still alive. More than that, why was I targeted? Issei tried to protest. The reason why she approached you is so she could check if there is a dangerous thing inside you. She must have received a weak response from it. That's why she took her time checking you. Then she confirmed it. That you were a human who possessed a sacred gear. Seeing the confused look on his face, she sighed and motioned Kiba to explain to her. Maybe she Knight would do this better than her. She had been a little distracted lately, she don't know why, but every time she remembered about him the bracelet on her wrist was getting warmer and warmer, just like the feeling she felt whenever she was around him 2 years ago. And right now the bracelet was spreading warmness all over her body. Sacred gear is an irregular power that is bestowed to certain humans. For example, most of the people whose names are recorded in history are said to be possessors of a sacred gear. They use the power of their sacred gear to record their name in history. Kiba explained to Issei with his usual smile. Presently, there are people who possess sacred gears within their bodies. You know those people who play an important role worldwide? Most of those people possess a sacred gear. Akeno nodded her head and continued for the Knight of Rias. Getting a hold of herself, Rias then continues to explain. Most of the sacred gears have functions that are only used in the human society. But there are exceptional sacred gears that are a threat to us, the devils, and fallen angels. Issei, raise your hand. Do it quickly. Rias urged impatiently. She has to finish this meeting quickly. Seeing the impatient look on her face, Issei quickly raised his hand. Close your eyes and imagine the strongest thing that comes to mind. As strongest being? Son Goku from Dragon Ball? Then imagine it, and imagine that person in a particular pose where he looks the strongest. Rias shook her head at the boy's imagination. Really? It was all he could think about right now. Issei began to think about when Goku fired his Kamehameha, when he looked the strongest, making Issei felt like an idiot himself. Lower your arms slowly and stand up. Rias continued to guide him. The boy got up from the sofa and lowered his arm, now mimic the pose of that person. You have to imagine it strongly, okay? You cannot hold back. Issei cheeks reddened at the thought. No, he can't do it. It was too embarrassed to do it at this age. It was a job for a kid, not him. Hurry up and do it. Rias urged him again, this time more forcefully. Damn it, the feeling inside her was getting hotter and hotter, especially around the bracelet. If she ever met him again, she would have to ask him outside of the mark for his teleport, and the one-way signal for her to him. What were other things that he had put in this thing? The feeling was driving her crazy now. Kaneko looked at her master and raised an eyebrow in wonder. Her sensitive nose had caught a certain smell was coming from her king. Kamehameha. Issei said it while he had both his open hands stuck together and pushed them forward at chest height. This is the Kamehameha poses. Seeing the childish pose making Rias calm down a little, but the feeling was still there and become even stronger. Now open your eyes. In this place which is filled with demonic power, the sacred gear will be able to appear more easily. Issei opened his eyes just like Rias tells me to flash. His left arm beginning to glow, and when it died down, his hand had transformed into a gauntlet. It takes a form of a red, armored bracer with yellow accents and a green jewel on top of the palm area. However, the fingers aren't covered. What the hell is Thythias? Issei screamed out. He was really shocked. Obviously. What is this? He thought he did a Kamehameha, but instead he got an item on my arm that looks like something Henshin heroes use. That's a sacred gear. And it belongs to you. Once it appears, you can use it anywhere and anytime as you will. Rias explained. The fallen angel, Amano Yuma, saw your sacred gear as a threat and therefore killed you. So how am I alive? You called me when you were on the verge of death. I was summoned through this paper. Rias pulls out a single leaflet. He knows that leaflet. When he was waiting for Yuma at the meeting spot, one of the people giving out leaflets gave him one. It's a leaflet with a magic circle and a catchphrase that reads, "We will grant your wish." He looked at it carefully and realized the magic circle on the leaflet is the same as the big magic circle on the floor. This is one of the leaflets we give out. This magic circle is used to summon us devils. These days there aren't many people who would draw this circle to summon us. So we give these leaflets to people who look like they would summon devils. This magic circle is safe and easy to use. That day, one of our families was disguised as a human and was handing them out in the business district. You got it at that time, Issei. After you were attacked by the fallen angel, you called me while you were on the verge of death. You wished so hard that it summoned me. Usually my servants like Kino and the others would be the ones to be summoned. When I was summoned and saw you, I knew right away that you were a sacred gear possessor and that you were attacked by a fallen angel. But there was a problem. Issei, you were on the brink of death. Not just devils, but humans also die if impaled by a fallen angel's spear of light. Issei, you were in that kind of condition. So I decided to save your life. Although, as a devil. Issei, you were reborn as a devil of mine, Rias Gremory's servant. As my servant devil. Rias clicked her finger. Pa! At that moment, the wings being sprout from the backs of everyone around him. They're very different from the black wings of fallen angels. Their wings was like bat wings to Issei. Let's introduce everyone anew. Yuto. Kiba smiled at me after Rias called his name. My name is Kiba Yuto. As you already know, I'm a second year like you, hi to Issei-kun. I'm a devil too. Nice to meet you. First year. Tojo Kaneko. Pleased to make your acquaintance. I'm a devil too. Kaneko bowed her head to him. My name is Himejima Akeno, and I'm in third year. I'm also the vice president of this occult research club. Nice to meet you. Even though I'm like this, I'm also a devil. Ufufa. Akeno bowed her head very politely. Lastly, it's Rias. She knew that a few more minutes, and it would be over. She waves her crimson hair and says it very directly, tried to be as calm as possible. And I'm their master as well as being a devil from the house of Gremory, Rias Gremory. My house holds the rank of a duke. Let's get along from now on, Issei. Issei screamed out happily while he was pedaling his bicycle at full throttle. He was on his way to do the first mission, handing out the leaflets. Rias had explained to him everything he should know about the devil world, and the dream of becoming the harem king is coming nearer and nearer to him. Too excited, Issei screamed out and closed his eyes. His mind was in dreamland. Crash! He crashed straight into something like a wall and flew out of his bicycle and fell head first to the ground. Groaning in pain, Issei tried to get off. If he wasn't a devil, then most likely he would be lost a few teeth right now because of the contact. Oh my, I'm so sorry, are you okay? He heard a male voice above him and looked up, and saw it was a blonde-haired young man. He was really tall, taller than him, with electric blue eyes, which looked like it was shining in the night. "Don't worry, it was my fault." The young man helps Issei got up with a smile on his face. Don't worry about it." He smiled. "Naruto Uzumaki, a pleasure to meet you," and offered his hand to the brunette. "Hi to Issei." Issei shook his hand, and looked at the blonde up and down. His new eyesight had helped him, saw clearly during the night. "Say, you're new here? How come I never saw you before?" "Yes, I'm just coming here this morning," Naruto said brightly, and took out from his pocket a piece of paper had some kind of address written on it. "Do you know where is this place? I was looking for this place for the past 2 hours and couldn't find it." Issei looked at the address and smiled. He knew the street, maybe he could help. Naruto found it. "You just have to go straight, and then turn left, go straight again, and then turn right. There you will see a park there. But don't cross it, you just need to turn left again, and you will be there." "Thank you so much." Naruto patted his shoulder excitedly and ran away while shouting, "See you later, Issei-san." But then, Issei caught a glint of crimson around Naruto's wrist when he was using his right hand to wave, and gasped in shock. That bracelet was the same color as Bucho's bracelet. It couldn't be. His bicycle had completely damaged. He looked at the direction Naruto was just running into. There were no way crashed into a human could damage the bicycle like that. Rias collapsed instantly when she closed the door of her bedroom. "Ha ha ha!" She breathed hard and tried to take off the bracelet, but her hand was covered in sweat so she couldn't do it properly. "Hien!" Rias moaned when she finally took the bracelet out of her wrist, but it was too late for her. She had climaxed just by the feeling of it. She cursed Naruto for putting something more inside of this bracelet. She cursed Akeno teasing when she found out about her arousing. It wasn't helping when Kaneko tried to help her either, it just made her hotter and hotter. She had tried to control herself in class, while answering all the questions as usual. She had come to the infirmary and pleased herself, but she didn't take the bracelet out. She really needed a cold shower right now. Stripped out all of her school uniform and the panties that she had ruined, Rias stepped inside of the bathroom and let the water flowing down her body. It really helped her, and the warmness inside she had disappeared instantly. After the shower, Rias didn't put on the towel and walked straight to her bedroom to have a nice sleep. After all the events this day, Rias really didn't think she had much energy to watch some more anime or cursing Naruto like she usually do. When she lay on the bed, she picked up the bracelet and hugged it close to her chest, too afraid to feel the same feeling again, so she didn't put it on. The red-haired girl slowly drifted into the land of dream without noticing a lone figure just land on the balcony of her bedroom's window. Naruto looked at his childhood friend and smiled. She had changed so much in 2 years, yet her sleeping habits still didn't change at all. This morning, the angels had let him return home first, but Ajuka had to stay for a few more weeks to check on his project. Naruto was expecting Rias to be the first one to welcome him, with a slap or punch perhaps. But found out Rias no longer stayed at her home. She was living in an apartment near Ko now, and stayed in Japan till summer vacation comes. Everyone, including Venelana and Graia, had warned him about Rias' hatred to him, which Naruto didn't feel surprised that much. They said he shouldn't show himself in front of Rias, or else she would make him disappear immediately. With no choice left, he had channeled his magical energy into his bracelet all day, hoping that she would know he was thinking about him and her anger would disappear and Rias would welcome him back. Shaking his head, Naruto guessed watching her from afar was okay for now, and he still had something to do. A lot of magical energy of fallen angels and stray exorcists were roaming around this city. He had to keep a close eye on them to prevent any harm to his friends and the citizens of this city. With a lightly movement, Naruto disappeared into the night. Crash! The sound of a teapot being crashed into the floor echoed through the club room. Issei and Kiba turned to Akeno, who stood there looking at him with a wide eyes and a shocked look on her face. Even the usual pervert-hating girl Kaneko had turned her head and looked at the brown-haired boy with her hazel eyes opened wide. The spoon she was holding had stopped in mid-air because of the shock. "Issei, what did you just say?" Rias asked her newest servant. If anyone in this room was having the expression worse than Akeno and Kaneko, it was her. Her heart was beating really fast and couldn't control herself anymore. Last night, I met this foreign guy. He had blonde hair and blue eyes." Issei repeated what he just said to Kiba. He was asking the knight of his master whatever he knew the blonde from last night or not. But he didn't expect the reaction from everyone would be like this. However, Kiba also looked curious like him. Maybe he didn't know about the blonde like them. He said he just came to Japan yesterday and asked me for direction. The weird thing is my bicycle had broken to pieces when I crashed into him. He said his name was I forgot about his name. Issei tried to recall the blonde's name, but failed. Something wasn't right here. He just remembered the faint appearance of him, and he wore some kind of completely white cloth, and a big crimson bracelet around his wrist. Issei, that bracelet, does it look like this? Rias shuddered. She opened her bag and pulled out crimson bracelet which was being decorated by blue-green gem with golden trims. After what happened yesterday, Rias had refused to wear this bracelet again whenever she wasn't at home, afraid that the same worm will appear and distract her with dirty thought just like last night. Please, please brother, please let that bracelet look just like mine. I'm sorry Bucho, while it was the same color, it had different decorations and a little longer than yours. Issei said certainly, if anything about the blonde that he remembered clearly, it was the bracelet. A defeat look appeared on Rias's face, and she leaned her back to the sofa to support herself. I knew it, he will never return. Rias muttered to herself, but Akeno and Kaneko could hear it clearly. Both of them looked at Rias worriedly. Around this time, Rias had been affected by Naruto more than ever. She looked just like the first few months after her first year at Ko Academy started. She acted like normal, yet at the same time held a great amount of sadness in her eyes and always being distracted whenever Rias saw something reminded her of him. Bucho, are you alright? Issei asked worriedly for his master. This is not the Rias he knew. She support to be cheerful and happy person, not like this. Don't worry Issei. It's just a past, that's all. She smiled, but Akeno and Kaneko could see through her fake smile and sighed. Rias could be really stubborn sometime. She couldn't accept the fact that Naruto was doing a very dangerous mission for the sake of her, them, and every devil at the underworld. Oh okay. Issei nodded his head. And by the way, don't you have a mission? Rias rose an eyebrow and looked at Issei. The brunette immediately ran out of the room to do his mission. The dream of becoming the harem king was still lingering in his head. Rias stood up and walked to the magic circle and ready to do her own mission with her customer. The image of her and Naruto playing with each other was still in her mind. Trumph! The sound of something hit the water surface could be heard all over the lake. The reason was the two who was fishing was sitting on a boat at the middle of the lake. One of them was none other than Naruto. He was lying on the deck with his feet holding the rod. Naruto yawned loudly. He really wanted to get out of here and return to his friends. Playing with Rias or petting Kaneko's head would be the fun things to do now. Maybe being teased by a sadistic Akeno wouldn't be sound so bad. Or maybe he could go to Revel or Sairaorg, or even sparring with his senpais. Anywhere was better than this boring lake. Come on Naruto, it's fun fishing like this. His companion set out cheerfully and smiled to the blonde. He is a man appearing to be in his 20s with average build, black hair and golden bangs and a black goatee. His eyes color is various colors of purple, depending on the light and surroundings. Azazel-san, have anyone told you that you're too carefree sometime? You know Naruto, being a leader of fallen angel mean a lot of hard work, so time like this make me feel better than looking at the paperwork. Yes, Naruto companion was none other than Azazel, Governor General of the Fallen Angels and Grigori. Last night, after leaving Rias's apartment, Naruto had head straight to the abandoned church, where the magical signatures were located and saw that there were 4 fallen angels there, and a lot of stray exorcists. How 4 fallen angels could gather so much energy without being acknowledged by their leaders, Naruto would never know. So after finished at the church, Naruto had stomped right into Grigori's headquarters, the fallen angels' territory after he had the permission of Sirzechs and asked for an answer. These fallen angels were in his childhood friend's territory, and could be dangerous for their life, and the leader of fallen angels didn't know anything about it. To say the fallen angels were in shock is understatement. A devil ran straight into their territory and defeated every single fallen angels that dared to cross his path. But there's something else when he had felt when he was there. Barakiel, one of the leaders of the fallen angels, had the same magical signature than Akeno. This could only mean one were related by blood, and Akeno could be the daughter of Barakiel, one of the leaders of the fallen angels. But he had seen the way Akeno talk about the fallen. She hated fallen angels to the point could cruelly kill them in cold blood. He wondered if something happened between the two of them that made Akeno the cruel person to fallen angels like today. Well, but first, he needed to finish the fishing with Azazel. The general had invited him to a fishing party because of his courageous and power. A fishing party, yeah, on a boat at the middle of the lake. Azazel-san, about those fallen angels, what do you want me to do with them? Naruto sat up and looked at him. You could kill them if you want. Rainer had disobeyed my order and killed that boy. Azazel answered blankly, but with someone who spent 2 years with the angels, I guess you don't enjoy killing that much. I could kill if I had to. Naruto nodded his head, but everyone, no matter who they are, what they do, they deserved a second chance. Yeah, if you said so. Azazel nodded at his logic. Kokubio is probably behind all this. That guy's had been acting strange lately. I will need to keep in closed eyes to him. I will let you decide the fate of those 4. Okay. Naruto nodded his head and saw his rod began to bend. Oh, yeah. He stood up and held the rod tightly. What the hell, kid? Azazel dropped his mouth. Is this the first time you go fishing? 2 days later. Well, I guess I have to interfere now. Naruto muttered to himself when he looked at the battlefield underneath him. 1 day ago, a nun named Asia Argento had appeared in this town, underling of Rainer. which was reality, was a plan by the later to steal her sacred gear, Twilight Healing, which allowed her to heal humans, devils, angels, and fallen angels alike. Quite an useful ability. Naruto had used his clone to keep in close eyes on the girl, to protect her from the fallen angels if they had tried to harm her. Naruto was really surprised when the girl had met Issei, Rias's newest servant, and befriended with him. Naruto had thought that the blonde nun was finally saved, until Rainer appeared and took her away from Issei. When he was ready to rescue her, Issei had screamed out he will come to her, and took her back. So Naruto decided he would stay still and see how strong and determined Rias's only pawns. Issei, Kaneko and Kiba, Rias's first knight, had attacked the abandoned church without Rias's permission as an act to save the brunette's friend. While this action was a little stupid, it had proved how important Asia was to Issei. While the trio battled with the stray exorcist, Rias and Akeno were battling with 3 fallen angels, and the duo showed no mercy to them. Rias and Akeno had become a lot stronger than before. Rias's power of destruction had become nearly perfect. Just a little more training and she could turn everything into nothingness. Akeno's talent in magic, especially lightning-based magic, had become her signature attack when she was young, but the power behind was more powerful now. But if Akeno was the daughter of Brachial, which meant that she could become even stronger if she accepted the fallen angel blood inside her veins. When the battle was over, the 3 fallen angels were on the ground whimpering under the power of the 2 devils. Rias's hand rose high and called for her power. A black orb with the crimson aura appeared in her hand. When Rias shot the orb to the fallen angels, Naruto had thrown his 3-prongs kunai down behind them, took 3 feather out of their wings and dropped it to the ground. When the orbs was going to contact to the 3, Naruto had appeared behind them and teleported the 3 to Azazel's office and took the kunai, before disappeared in a flash of lightning himself. All of that happened in only 2 seconds after Rias used her power to kill them. Naruto reappeared at the rooftop of the church and grinned at his clones. "Everything okay, I hope? Just let me disappear, boss, you will know." The clones nodded his head and disappeared, letting all the memories of the battle he had seen came to Naruto's mind. "Well, hiya Issei-kun, you sure are something." Naruto smiled seeing the memories. Issei had proved himself that he was worthy to Rias by taking Rainer all by himself, and not only that, his gauntlet true form had appeared, and revealed to be one of the 13 Longinus, boosted gear, which hold the soul of Drake, one of the 2 heavenly dragon. When Naruto opened the window of the church and got inside, Rias and Akeno had finally arrived with a smile on their face. "Now then." Rias' eyes began to turn sharp and ruthless. "I will have you disappear, fallen angel-san." Her voice was cold and filled with killing intent. Naruto flinched a little. Maybe it wasn't just her appearance and power changed, maybe her personality also changed as well. Naruto hoped that when they meet again, she wouldn't look at him with that cold eyes. "Of course, I will retrieve that sacred gear back as well." "Why, you can't be serious. This healing power is for Azazel-sama and Shemhasa-sama. To live your life for love is beautiful. But you are too tainted with dirt. You have no elegance. And I won't allow that." Rias aimed her hand towards Rainer, her magical energy beginning to raise with imaginable pace. There was something else that made Rias even angrier than hurting her servant. "Looks like she would kill Rainer in one blow. Me here." Then, a shadow appears from behind the broken wall. The priest, Fried Zelzen. He came back despite running away once before and was laughing like crazy while looking at Rainer. "Wow. My superior is in serious danger. So what's going to happen now?" Rainer screamed at the appearance of the priest. "Save me. If you save me, I will give you a reward or anything you want." I received a wonderful order from an angel-sama." "Eh? So I can have sex with you?" "To me, having sex with an angel-sama is like the best honor, and it will become a good social status for me." Fried makes a sadistic smile. "Don't fool around and save me." The fallen angel's expression is filled with anger. Naruto couldn't blame her at all, being in a near-dead situation, and the only hope she got was asking something she didn't want to. "Ararara, you know that I'm actually serious. I mean, something simple like that should be alright, isn't it, Angel-sama? So it's a no? Is that so? Then I will take my leave now. No matter how you look at it, I'm at a disadvantage, so I will just take off." Fried says it in a funny tone while curling his body. "Why, you are a priest, aren't you? You are supposed to save me. I'm an almighty fallen angel. I don't need a superior who loses to trashy devils. You are pretty, but you lack plans and you are hard-headed. The only thing you are useful for is masturbation. So just die away already." Well, a fallen angel who is abandoned by God won't go to either heaven or hell, but goes back to nothing. Maybe the experience of turning into nothing will be helpful? That's impossible. Since there will be nothing left. It's impossible. So confusing. Wait, that's it, Buddhism. I'm a former Christian. I'm such a naughty boy. Naruto gripped his kunai tightly. Now he really wanted to beat that exorcist until he shut up or couldn't speak anymore. But doing that right now means he couldn't save the fallen angel's girl and exposed himself to Rias and everyone. It would be a chaos, and he would be the one who suffered their wrath. After saying that, he moved his sight elsewhere, as if he has lost interest in Rainier. Rainier put on an expression of despair. Her only hope to survive had gone now. She looks miserable. Fried makes a big smile at Issei. Issei-kun. You have such a wonderful ability. I'm getting more interested in you. You are so worthy to kill. You are definitely in my top 5 for the devils I want to kill, so be prepared, okay? Next time we meet, let's have a romantic fight to the death, okay? Fried directed his killing intent toward Issei. Naruto couldn't blame him. While it was nothing to him and everyone, a new devil and inexperienced like Issei would be affected by it greatly. See ya then. Bye. Remember to brush your teeth. Fried disappears immediately from the scene after waving his hands at Rias and everyone. Rias sighed and turned back to the fallen angel. Now fallen angel Rainier, who was abandoned by her own servant. Miserable, Rias said without a slightest sympathy in her tone, which made Rainier starts to shiver. Now he truly understood why her parents didn't want him to meet her right now. Rainier then looks at Issei with sorrowful eyes at him. Issei-kun, please save me, she begged. Tears was flowing down to her cheeks. This devil is trying to kill me. I love you. I love you so much. That's why, let's defeat this devil together. Issei looked at her, then turned away. Goodbye, my love. Bucho, I'm at my limit, will you please? He muttered quietly. The fallen angel's expression froze. Don't try to flirt with my cute servant. Blow away, Rias said coldly and pointed her hand to the crying fallen angels. Now, Naruto disappeared in a flash of yellow and reappeared behind Rainier. This time, he will have to use more than one of his power to save this girl. When Naruto appeared, he instantly caught her in his hand and jumped out of the way. While hovering above the ground, he focused his magical energy into his eyes and looked at all the devil present in this room. His eyes beginning to change into black with a red 6-pointed star in his eyes. At the middle of the star was a black 3-pronged shuriken. This was the Manjiki Sharingan, a power that Naruto discovered 1 year ago. He didn't know why, but when he activated it the first time, he knew the name of this eyes and also the power of it, just didn't know how to use those power. It took him nearly 3 months to master all the techniques with the help of Gabriel. When Naruto looked at Rias, he could see that she had seen him and said his name out loud, but Naruto just shook his head and deleted her memories with his eyes, also created a fake memories inside of everyone's mind. The memory was about Rainier had been turned into nothing by Rias's power. Who are you? Rainier screamed out, but Naruto pulled his hand forward and punched through her chest. Rainier's eyes widened, but not from the pain. It was because his arm had passed through her chest and holding the green orb in his palm, the sacred gear Twilight Healing. Naruto let it fell to the ground and used his teleport magic. Rainier saw the surrounding around her change so fast that she couldn't understand what happened anymore. But then, in a blink of eyes, she saw herself appeared inside Azazel, her leader's office, and saw that her comrade was being tied by some kind of golden rope and looking at her with wide eyes. Naruto putted the girl to the ground and looked at a smirking Azazel with his feet on the table. Don't ask, he said quickly and sat down to a chair near him. Naruto, you definitely should get laid sometime, to release the stress, you know. Azazel shook his head at the blonde boy and patted him on the shoulder. I could introduce you to some of my attractive fallen angels. The power you displayed 3 days ago had made them all horny and lust for you, you know. And then grabbed the blonde collar and looked at him deep in the eyes. Their face was really close to each other, with Naruto held a confused look and Azazel had a horror-like face. They said, you're more attractive and more handsome than me. What the hell, Naruto? You enjoyed your time with those airhead angels and could flirt with mine angels with just looked alone? What are you talking about anyway? Naruto asked and pushed the general of the fallen angels back to his chair. You should check on them, and please don't be so harsh, they already have a hard night, you know? With that, Naruto disappeared in a flash of yellow. Azazel shook his head again. He really need to change that boy, spending too much time with the angels and had already become an airhead like them, especially Gabriel. If he was being too close to her, she could be described as the most clueless person in the world. After all that, he stood up and turned to the 4 fallen angels. He had promised Naruto that he won't kill them, but a little punishment wouldn't hurt at all. Now you 4 have anything to explain? He cracked his knuckle and grinned evilly, making the 4 paled immediately. 4 days later. The tension at the headquarters of the Occult Research Club was really high. When Issei, Kiba and Asia, Rias's newest bishop, stepped inside the club room, Rias was standing in front of them with a defeated look on her face. Standing beside her was the head maid of Sirzechs, Graia. Rias was ready to tell them something, but a magic circle with the crest of the Phoenix family appeared in the middle of the room and Ray's Phoenix, Rias's fiancé, stepped out with a sick grin on his face. Razor! Rias said loud and clear to him. I said it before as well, I won't marry you. But isn't your household surprisingly pressing about these circumstances? Razor said in a bored tone. It's none of your business. Rias screamed out. She was really surprised. Her family had promised they would dissolve the engagement between the two family for her, so why Razor was here? Your parents and Sirzechs-sama as well fear that your household will go extinct. Razor picked up the cup of tea Akeno had put on the table for him. In the previous war, a lot of purebloods devil gave of their life for it, and the number of household went extinct because of it. Isn't it natural for the pure-blooded devils to protect the blood and the household by joining together? An offspring successor from two high-ranking pure-blooded devils is extremely valuable, even you know that. We old households of purebloods may have no standing left. New blood is essential as well, but we can't be having pure-blooded devils cut off as a result, right? Your brother, Sirzechs-sama, has left the household. Now the only one can succeed the Gremry household is you alone. Those devils called the 72 pillars are collapsing one after another. The future of the devils is hanging on this marriage proposal. I won't destroy my household. Rias shook her head. I plan on getting a son-in-law for my house. Then you'll mar. But I won't marry you, Rias cut him off. I will marry someone who I think is good. Even the devils of old household have at least that much of a right. Rias said, and beside, I have someone else in my mind already. Razor gritted his teeth. He couldn't let this chance get away like this. There were no way he could let someone have such delicious body escape him like that. But then, he remembered the event 3 years ago and smirked. It's about Naruto Uzumaki, isn't it? You loved that lowly devil, didn't you? Rias's eyes widened in shock. Her peerage, especially Akeno and Kaneko, was looking at Razor with a murderous look on their eyes, while Issei, Kiba and Asia gasped in shock. Even Graia's eyes have locked to Razor now. Razor smirked. Now he knew how to rub her weak point, and she will be his soon. I had seen the way you looked at him at the party 3 years ago, Rias. I know that was the look of love. He laughed before continue. For a lowly devil like him to attend such a high-class party like that, what an incredible fact. Trash will be forever trash. Just looked at the way he attended the party, and I can guess where he came from. Probably you have found him in some garbage bin, haven't you? Razor smirked when Rias began to raise her magical energy. He could saw the angry look on her face now. Take those words back. Rias gritted her teeth and said with an anger-filled voice, I said take those words back. Naruto-kun was worth 10 times than you. Oh, so let's me ask you this. Razor smirked. Where is he now, huh? Razor laughed like a maniac when he saw the look on Rias's face. It was truly pathetic for him. I haven't seen him in a while after the party. So I guessed he probably running somewhere with his fellow lowly class devils and doing some pathetic jobs trying to be accepted in the promotion. Well, I guessed if he become a high class devils I would probably know then, and maybe I would give him a chance. Enjoyed your body after we're married. Rias looked at Razor with her eyes filled with tears and anger. Never in Rias's life that she felt so much anger. The old school building began to shake violently at Rias' release her magical energy. Akeno and Kaneko were trying their best not to attack Razor right there. They couldn't stand the words Razors had used to describe Naruto anymore. Oju-sama, Razor-sama. Graia broke the tension between them. If you do something rash, then I won't sit by idly. She then looked directly at them. But Rias's peerage could be seen that her eyes were directly at Razor as she spoke. I definitely won't hold back, for Sirzechs-sama's honor. Graia finished in a dangerous tone. Razor could do whatever he want, but badmouth a member of her master's peerage mean badmouth the Crimson Mao, and she won't allow that. Razor paled immediately at the cold eyes and cold voice of Graia. So, Oju-sama. Graia called for Rias. How about you settle this in a rating game? That's right. Rias wiped her tears away and looked to Razor with hatred in her eyes. Razor, I challenge you in a rating game. If you lose, then you will have to take those words back and our engagement will be void. But if you lose, you will become my wife. Remember that. Razor then laughed like he was crazy. Ha ha ha. This game will be a joke. Except for your queen, the rest won't even be qualified opponents for my cute servants. We will see about that, Phoenix. 10 days later. Man, I'm tired. Naruto fell to his bed, after a week full of requests from the human and working non-stop. The first time in his life, Naruto Uzumaki finally felt what exhaustion means now. It had been 10 days already and he haven't returned to the Lucifer's castle and took more requests from his master. With the help of his clone, Naruto could do multi-jobs at the same time, and in 10 days, he had finished nearly 5,000 requested all over Japan, and now he would need a nice 24 hours naps, and get back to work again. Before Naruto could sleep, a magic seal appeared at the middle of the room, making Naruto's raised his head in wonder and gasped when Graia appeared. Hello Naruto, I hope you're doing well. Ah, Graia Ne-chan. He slammed his head back to the pillow. Sorry Ne-chan, but right now I'm too tired to make for you a cup of tea, sorry. Don't worry about it, I'm here to deliver something from Sirzechs-sama to you. She took out a disc and a letter and handed it to Naruto. Make sure you watch it carefully. What's it Ne-chan? He asked sleepily. Oju-sama's first raiding game, against Razor Phoenix-sama. Naruto's eyes snapped open and he immediately sat up. He opened the letter and read it and smiled. Naruto dropped the letter down to the ground and picked the disc. Well, I will watch it, thank you Nei-chan. Not at all Naruto. She turned around and prepared a magic circle, but before she disappeared, Graia turned her head back to Naruto and by the way, there is something you would want to know. What is it Nei-chan? It's time for the underworld to know who is the last member of Sirzechs Lucifer's Peerage. She finished with a mysterious smile and disappeared. Naruto grinned and turns on the DVD player and put the disc inside. He jumped to the bed and began to watch the video, the words in the letter still lingering in his mind. At the night, 2 days from the time you read this letter, the wedding you always wanted to crash will start. What are you going to do now? Revel Phoenix was having a bad day. She didn't want all this to happen. Even though she was a member of her brother's peerage, she still didn't accept the fact that her brother had won by cheating. She knew that Rias Gremry, her soon-to-be sister-in-law, didn't have any experience in a real raiding game, but her brother was called a genius and had a lot of experience in raiding games with 8 wins and 2 loses. But those loses were on purpose, which meant her brother could have won if he wanted to. Not only that, Ravel and Yubelina were equipped with a bottle of Phoenix Tears. While the rules clearly stated that up to 2 items can be used per game, Rias's peerage didn't have anything with them, and the heiress of the Gremry clan was still new to the games and was being ruined by her anger. It was not that surprising when she found out Rias had feelings for Naruto Uzumaki, the one she had given her tears to. She also wasn't surprised that the white-haired girl and the queen of her soon-to-be sister-in-law also had feelings for him. After all, who wouldn't? Naruto was kind and gentle, he never got angry at anyone, he even forgave her for the way she acted at her family's party. Not only that, he was very powerful at such a young age and very handsome too. Naruto would be the perfect boyfriend or lover for any girl. He would be the dream partner for every devil girl for sure if he came back and became even more handsome and attractive than before. The thought that she had proposed to him with her tears made Ravel's cheeks redden and she beginning to blush uncontrollably. Ravel walked through the corridor of the Gremry's castle, deep in thought. She was wearing a purple dress with matching gloves and black boots and held a pink folding fan. Ravel looked like a true noble lady coming from one of the greatest households. No matter where she went, the maids and servants stopped what they were doing and greeted her with their heads bowed low. Of course they were. After all, Ravel was the youngest daughter of the Phoenix clan, the family of the legendary sacred beast Phoenix. But her face immediately saddened. Even though she held the power of immortality and Phoenix's fire, she knew that her power wasn't absolute, and there was still a lot of weaknesses about her powers. Her oldest brother, Revel, had taught her that when she was small, so when Ravel grew up, she didn't become arrogant like Riser, who thought their power was invincible. She had seen the defeated look on Rias's face when she surrendered the game, the look of someone who had lost everything they dreamed about, the look that showed she knew she couldn't be with the one she loved. She had seen Rias take off the crimson bracelet, the same bracelet she had seen Naruto wearing 2 years ago when she was being dressed up with the help of a servant. The tears that fell from her eyes when she took it off from her wrist, saying that it didn't suit her and that she didn't have the right to wear it anymore. She tightened her hand around her folding fan and stopped in front of the door of Rias's room, where the heiress was putting on some final makeup so she could look as beautiful as possible. Ravel took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Sirzechs-chan, Graia-chan, wait for me. Sairaorg tried to catch up to Sirzechs. She just arrived at the Gremry's castle along with her precious sister Sona, but she had disappeared somewhere with their parents, and didn't let the childish Mao know. She tried to find her sister, but Sona always found some way to outdo her and stay hidden. So with nothing left to do, Sairaorg decided to wander around the Gremry castle and caught sight of the Crimson Mao, Sirzechs Lucifer, chatting with his head maid Graia while walking through the corridors of the castle. Ah, Sairaorg-chan, it's good to see you here. Sirzechs greeted her with a bright smile on his face. Hello, Sairaorg-sama. Graia lowered her head. The childish Mao quickly asked the two everything that came to her mind at that moment, from their health to their jobs, even asking them if her TV show was good or not. Graia still kept her stoic expression during the conversation and didn't answer much if Sairaorg didn't directly aim the questions at the silver-haired queen. Sirzechs-chan, about Ajuka-chan's mission at heaven. She stopped a little and looked at Sirzechs Naruto-chan. I wondered when he would come back. Sirzechs and Graia looked at each other. The information about Naruto having already returned to the underworld was being kept as a secret. No one outside of the Gremry family, except for Rias and her peerage, knew about this. Long ago, when Sirzechs decided to make Naruto a member of his peerage, he had seen the great power hiding deep inside the boy and wanted him to use those powers for a good reason. At first, he wanted his sister to be the boy's master, considered the two were really close with each other, but had decided against it because of the so-called Elder Council that didn't want Naruto running around free or being a servant of someone too young like Rias. They had seen the boy's power and were very impressed when they saw what happened that night, but were also afraid that this boy would become a threat when he grew up and became more powerful. It took him and the rest of the Mao, leaders of the Devil's World, to warn them not to touch the boy or he would be forced to dissolve the Elder Council. If Naruto became a member of Rias's Peerage, who knew what the council would do to get their hands on him? Not only that, he afraid with that much power from Naruto, only the evil pieces of the four Mao could accept him, and wasn't surprised much when Naruto was worth 5 mutation pawns, which mean he could be even more valuable than a normal evil pieces set. Sairaorg-sama, please do not worry, I'm sure Naruto will come back. Graia nodded her head at the Mao. She had seen the look on Naruto's face when he read the letter her master had given him and felt a little weird feeling in her chest whenever she thought about him. Some people thought she was Sirzechs' wife because of their love story in the Great War, but the truth was that they had already broken up when the war was finally over. Even though their love story still spread like fire on hay, Sirzechs and Graia looked at each other as nothing more than friends now. 10 years ago, Sirzechs had fallen in love with a normal female devil and they had a beautiful child named Milikas Gremory. He was 10 years old now. Only the members of the Gremory clan knew about this, and Graia had become a nanny for Milikas while his mother was taking care of her promotion to become a high-class devil so that Sirzechs could finally reveal his real wife to the world. Graia had been on a lot of dates while trying to find her other half, but the devil she dated only looked at her as the strongest queen of the underworld, not the woman she always wanted to be. Until she saw Naruto, who had finally returned from his mission in heaven. When Naruto first joined her master's peerage, she looked at him as an unfortunate child who got caught in the fight between Sirzechs' household and their enemy. The feeling began to change as he grew up. She looked at him like the little brother she had lost during the war, always wanted to take care of him and help him with anything he needed. At the time, Graia thought her duty as a maid was the thing that made her take care of him like she was his personal maid, but the duties at Lucifer's castle always made her too busy to look after Naruto. And when he looked at the escort mission Sirzechs had personally assigned him, she wanted Naruto to decline it and stay at the castle with Rias. The two of them had grown pretty close to each other at the time after all. When Naruto returned home after 2 years, she couldn't believe the young man standing in front of her used to be the blonde-haired boy running around the garden with Rias on his shoulder, shouting along with her in happiness like any child would. He had changed so much in only 2 years. The cute blonde-haired boy was gone and was replaced by a handsome young man who happened to appear in every wet dream she had at the moment. A blush appeared on Graia's face when she remembered her dream from last night, but quickly shook it off and returned her expression to what she was used to. A stoic, stern maid who would punish her master whenever he forgot his duty as the leader of the underworld. For some reason, Graia always felt really jealous of Rias. She always got Naruto's attention first. Even when he returned home, the first thing he asked about was his childhood friend. When Sirzechs asked his peerage who was going to deliver his message and the recorder of Rias's first raiding game against Raijin, Graia had raised her hand a little too fast for her liking, but nonetheless was very eager to meet Naruto alone. She was really worried though. He came to Sirzechs' office one day and went out while holding a bag full of missions with a smile. No one should be able to finish all of those missions in only 1 week, yet Naruto had done them and put into his bank account a huge amount of money. When she saw the exhausted form of Naruto lying on his bed with a sleepy look on his face, she wanted nothing than make him stand on his knees and scold Naruto about overworking. However, Graia had quickly stopped herself before doing anything that would embarrass herself in front of him, and that would be the last thing she wanted to do. Graia had tried to talk to him as calmly as possible, but whenever she was near him, she always felt this weird feeling inside her chest and always felt another ugly feeling when she knew Naruto was going to crash this wedding to save his more than childhood friend. Sirzechs looked at Graia and smiled. His queen was strong yet was strongly falling for the youngest pawn. Good for her. When they broke up, he was the first one to find true happiness. His other half and wished Graia that she could also find her happiness, and really surprised when his surrogate little brother was the reason why his maid was acting weird lately. Damn that kid, truly a chick magnet. First his sister, then her queen and rook, now the maid. What next? A Mao? Unknown to Sirzechs, Sairaorg was looking at Graia without her usual childish or happy look on her face. In fact, the black-haired Mao was looking at his maid with very dangerous eyes. Sairaorg scowled quietly. She didn't like the way Graia called the name of her Naruto. Call it a woman's intuition, but she smelled something really fishy here, and that wasn't just because they passed a maid who was carrying a completely burned chicken. She could accept the fact she wouldn't be the first one in Naruto's heart, considered that Rias had already caught his interest, but she won't lose to any other girl, especially not her former rival for the title of Leviathan. Trying to act like her usual self as much as possible, Sairaorg jumped right in front of Graia and said cheerfully, "You're right, Graia-chan, after all I know Naruto well too, so he would come home before we know it." In truth, Sairaorg only met Naruto when he came to deliver that message to her father, but when you're the Mao of foreign affairs, you could understand other people with just a single meeting, and Naruto didn't really have a hard-to-understand personality anyway. She smirked when she saw a tick mark appeared on Graia's forehead. Someone was jealous and really pissed. Of course, Sairaorg-sama, as the head maid of the Gremory clan, I would probably take really good care of him when he comes back. After all, Naruto would be really tired if he came back from a dangerous mission like this. The strongest queen said calmly. Well, you do have your duty as head maid at Lucifer Castle, don't you? So you're probably really busy, so don't worry, I could take care of him for you. Naruto probably won't enjoy a Mao taking care of him. He would be really uncomfortable with you. And by the way, Graia looked at Sairaorg's body up and down in an unusual Graia Lucifuge way. Naruto probably wouldn't want to be taken care by a childish girl who is always dressed in a magical girl's uniform. Sairaorg scowled. Just a few more words and Graia would become as annoying as that bitch Gabriel. But then, Sairaorg smirked. Really, Graia-chan? Sairaorg tiptoed and said quietly in a very seductive tone, unlike her usual childish tone, Graia, you should remember that before I turned into this form, I was the most beautiful devil in the underworld that could even rival that Gabriel. Graia's eyes turned sharp immediately and looked straight into Sairaorg's purple eyes without fear in her eyes. The two glared at each other while sparks were flying everywhere. Sirzechs looked at the two and quickly went somewhere, not wanting to feel their wrath at the moment. Damn, Naruto-kun, you really are one of a kind. Damn it, why can't we save Bucho? Issei slammed his hand to the table, drawing a lot of attention from the devils standing near them, and looked around to his friends, who currently have a solemn look on their face. That's it, I'm going to save her. Issei made up his mind and turned to the door. He felt a hand on his shoulder and turned around, only to meet with the sad face of Kiba. Don't, Issei-kun, we can't do anything for her now. Kiba, what are you saying? You're her knight, right? A knight has to protect her king no matter what happens, right? So why won't you do anything? While Issei continuing to shout out that they must save their king, Akeno looked at the scene in front of her sadly. Rias had surrendered the game and accepted marrying Riser, for the sake of her peerage, her family and her friends. Akeno cursed herself for her weakness. If that day she had seen Riser's queen use phoenix tears and hit her with fire magic when she turned around, she could have defeated Yubelina again and helped Rias in her fight against Riser. Everything would have been different right now. Graia had come to the fallen peerage when they finally recovered from all their injuries, especially Issei, whose body was the most seriously injured and who had reached his limit, and said that they could attend the engagement party if they want to. With one condition, that is they don't do anything stupid, or else they would be exiled from Devil Society for disturbing an honorable engagement party between two of the most powerful clans in Devil Society. However, Issei was the most stubborn member, who wanted to save Rias from this engagement no matter what happened to him, even though he knew he didn't have the power to do that. Akeno and the rest of Rias's peerage were standing in the ballroom dressed in the most elegant clothing they had. The Queen of Rias looked around the room and saw most of the devils who have assembled were young devils, but their parents, and some adult devils, were also here too. Akeno could see most of them were high-class devils, with also a few servants that came from their household to serve the devils. Suddenly, two young devils approached them. One of them was a young bespectacled woman in her late teens with a slim figure, black hair styled in a short bob cut, and violet eyes. She was dressed in a black, elegant dress with purple trim that suited her very well. Her name was Sona Sitri, the heiress of the Sitri clan and also the little sister of the current Leviathan. Even though tension among Akeno's group was high, she still kept the stoic look on her face. The one standing next to her was a handsome young man with black hair and violet eyes. He was very tall and had a muscular body due to the extreme training he had went through. His name was Sairaorg, who is the next heir of the Bale clan and the cousin of Rias and Sirzechs Lucifer. Sairaorg is known as the strongest young devil at the moment. Sairaorg-sama, Sona-sama. Akeno lowered her head to greet the two high-class devils. The rest also did the same while Kiba was explaining to Issei and Asia who they were. No need to bow, Akeno-san. Sairaorg nodded his head in understanding. I had heard about the raiding game. I hope everybody is alright. Thank you for your concern, Sairaorg-sama. What about Rias? I haven't seen her came out of her room since 2 days ago. Sona asked. Even though her voice was calm, she also very worried for her rival and best friend. After all, Rias had lost in the raiding game that decided her future. I really don't know, Sona-sama. Akeno shook her head sadly. I hope she is alright. Sairaorg said and looked around the peerage, and his eyes finally landed on Asia and Issei. Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Sairaorg, a pleasure to meet you. My name is Asia Argento. Asia lowered her head. Issei Hayadu, a pleasure to meet you, Sairaorg-san. Ah, the security. Sairaorg brought out his hand and shook the shorter boy's hand. I finally meet you, Issei-kun. I heard you have shown yourself as a true Lionheart at the raiding game. I'm hope to have a match against you in the future, Issei-kun. Sairaorg said cheerfully, making Issei blush a little then pale at the last part. Kiba had told him Sairaorg was considered the strongest young devil at the moment, after all. Thank you Sairaorg-san, I think. Akeno, can I ask you something? Sona turned her head to Rias's queen, who nodded her head. I heard the reason Rias challenged Riser was because of a person named Naruto Uzumaki. May I ask you who he is? Immediately Kaneko snapped the spoon in her hand and Akeno had a sad look on her face. That's right, I had heard about a young devil appearing with Rias in the party that the Phoenix clan organized 3 years ago. Sairaorg said, he was always curious about this Naruto Uzumaki. From what he had heard about him, Naruto was a mystery, not much was known about him, just the fact that he was always with Rias at the park or game center at the Gremry's territory, and that he was also a very kind and polite boy. So, is he here? I want to get to know him. Sadly no, Sairaorg-sama. Akeno shook her head. She wanted to tell them the truth about Naruto, but that information was top secret. Only a few chosen devils know about his mission. Akeno-san, who is this Naruto Uzumaki? Issei asked. Inside his mind he felt he had heard that name somewhere but couldn't recall where it was. I had heard Butcho mention a lot about him. Even Riser seems to know him? Akeno took a deep breath and looked at Kaneko, who silently nodded her head. Akeno decided to tell them a few things about him but was very careful about the details. Issei-kun, the truth is, Naruto. Rias-sama, it's me, Revel. May I come in? Oh, Revel-chan, don't be shy, please come on in. The youngest daughter of Phoenix clan opened the door and stepped inside of the room. She could see her soon-to-be sister-in-law was sitting on her bed while looking at the beautiful crimson bracelet in her hand. The redhead girl looked up and flashed a beautiful smile at Ravel. Rias-sama, you look so beautiful. Ravel gasped, looking at the wedding dress Rias was wearing. Thank you very much, Ravel. Rias smiled, her voice quivering a little and tried to hide it, but Ravel saw through all of it. Ravel, can I help you with something? She asked. Rias-sama, about the raiding game. Don't worry Ravel, I had surrendered the game. I had lost to Riser and I have to keep my word and marry your brother. But Ravel tried to reason. She knew what Rias said was true but she couldn't accept it. Her brother had won the game because he had a lot of experience and had better prepared than Rias's peerage. I said don't worry, didn't I? Rias shook her head at blonde. What's done is done now. Rias stood up and went to her table and opened a small golden box and put the bracelet inside. Rias hesitated a little when she closed it. Ravel bit her lip, a little forceful than normal. But what about him? What about Naruto-sama? Rias flinched when she heard that name from Ravel. Don't Ravel. Rias warned with a low voice, this is my wedding day so don't say his name. But Rias-sama, what if Naruto-sama is waiting for you? What if Naruto-sama is coming back? Ravel, he won't come back. Rias smiled sadly at the young Phoenix girl. She was trying really hard not to cry now. Whenever she heard Naruto's name, she always wanted to cry. She always used Naruto's leaving as an excuse, but her life was about to change forever after the party tonight, so Rias guessed she could open up to Revel, her soon-to-be sister-in-law and probably the one she will share most of her time with after coming to the Phoenix Castle. You know, Revel, he was always kind, warm and very protective of me. With Naruto by my side, I always felt safe and a warm feeling always appeared in my heart. Rias smiled at the memory, the time when she spent with him, the laughter they shared with each other. When she fell and hurt her legs because she had slid on her roller skates too fast, he always let her climb onto his back and brought her to their house. When Rias was sad, Naruto was the first one that tried to cheer her up. She always remembered those times. Rias looked at Revel and smiled sadly, but that's it. While he did everything for me, I didn't do anything for him, nothing to return his kindness for me. I looked just like a lost puppy or a love-stuck girl who always followed him wherever he went, crying for his attention. Of course, when time passed by, he would start getting annoyed with my presence and didn't want to be my friend anymore. That's why he accepted that mission. Even Nisama said he could refuse it, to get rid of me and stay away from me as long as possible. I wanted to win my first raiding game to prove that I had grown up and finally be with him, to walk side by side with him, to prove to Naruto that I'm not the weak girl who always needed his protection. I always tried to be stronger, to be someone who deserves his love. I thought I had grown up, but I hadn't. I'm still the weak girl I always was. I don't deserve to be with Naruto. After the words came out from her mouth, Rias felt like a huge weight had been lifted from her shoulder. However, her heart was still the same. She said all that, but Rias still wanted to meet Naruto one last time, to say the words she always wanted to say to Naruto. Rias used to dream about her marrying Naruto when she grew up, just like any other young girl who dreamed about her crush when they were small. But a dream was a dream and it was forever out of her reach now. Rias looked at Revel and saw a sad look on the blonde's face. She knew Revel was a good girl and don't want the girl to make the same mistakes like her. Revel. Yes, Rias-sama? Revel lifted her head at the call. She looked at Rias with sad eyes. When you grow up, please don't make the same mistakes that I did. Find the one who truly loves you and care for him. Don't become like me, okay? But Rias-sama, I had given Naruto-sama my tears. Revel thought solemnly. She was feeling like she had betrayed Rias's trust. If Rias had told her the truth about her feeling, then she would tell her about her secret with Naruto. Rias might hate her afterwards, but she would find out sooner or later when Rias became a member of the Phoenix family. Rias-sama, the truth is. Suddenly, the door was pushed open and Venelana stepped in. Venelana-sama. Ravel bowed her head low to greet the lady of the Gremory clan. No need to bow to me, Ravel. Venelana smiled warmly at the daughter of Phoenix and then turned to Rias. Rias, it's time, honey, let's go. Rias took a deep breath before nodding her head and stood up and stood next to her mother and said goodbye to Ravel. The blonde-haired girl just stood there looking at the closed doors. It was time for the party now, and she has to be there with her brother's peerage soon. Naruto-sama, please come back, she needs you. Ajuka-san, please hurry up. What the hell, kid? I just came back, give me a break, would you? Nah, I really don't want to miss my best friend's engagement party. Are you sure about this? I know Ajuka-san, but I couldn't let her live an unhappy life either.